Chapter 250. I'm serious. I really don't know if he will reveal our whereabouts. Seeing that Fire Kirin didn't want to talk to it anymore, Lin Yuan added with a serious face. Now that the 7 border cities had been isolated by the Shenwu dynasty, Shunning City was the last line of defense. Even if Fire Kirin had a way to leave Shunning City and head to the hinterland of the Shenwu dynasty, so what? If it could leave now, Fire Kirin would have sneaked away a long time ago. It would be impossible for it to return here. Now in Shunning City, countless pairs of eyes were watching Fire Kirin. Although they didn't know what Fire Kirin was doing outside, the places where Fire Kirin went every day and who it came into contact with were all reported to Sherdong by the members of the Demon Emperor Association. Then, Sherdong would write a written document and send it to the agreed place with Lin Yuan. In addition, Lei Fan had agreed to help him, so Lin Yuan wasn't worried that Fire Kirin would slip away under his nose. However, this was Shunning City after all. Even if they were to deal with Fire Kirin, it would be the humans who would make the first move. At that time, Fire Kirin would inevitably suspect that Lin Yuan had betrayed it. After all, it had heard that Lin Yuan was investigating the purple-eyed youth in Zhongshan City. When the humans made the first move, Fire Kirin would easily link it to Lin Yuan. Now that Brother Mi was dead, Lin Yuan could put the blame on Brother Mi. It wasn't that he was deliberately scheming. It was just that at this point he was making use of trash. What do you mean? Fire Kirin was startled, and its eyes turned serious. Lin Yuan shook his head with a bitter smile and said, I said that I could guarantee Brother Mi's loyalty, because I planted a blood poison in his body. Once he makes any strange movements, I can take his life at any time. However, since he's going to die either way, it's hard to say if Brother Mi will say anything under the other party's torture. Although I gave him a cardiac stimulant before, this kind of hoodlum in the underworld would never trust anyone, let alone demon beasts like you and me. If he could survive by betraying us, he wouldn't hesitate at all. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Fire Kirin's face contorted. He said coldly, And this is the trouble you caused. You have to give me an explanation for this. In 3 days at the latest, I want to know if the humans already know of our existence. Otherwise, you don't want to know the consequences. The pitch of the Fire Kirin gradually increased. It had already died once, so it knew better than any other living being how precious life was. Therefore, at this juncture, Fire Kirin didn't even dare to look directly at the fear in its heart. I'll look into it, but I'm only responsible for my own safety. Watch your words. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a cold glint. He said sternly, You and I are not superior and subordinate. You have no right to order me to do anything. You can try again next time. The worst that can happen is that we'll both die together. After being choked by Lin Yuan, Fire Kirin walked back to its room with a resentful look on its face. It couldn't be bothered to argue with the black snake anymore. However, it was once again thinking about how to get out of this damned place. 2 days later, late at night, Lin Yuan once again left the secluded courtyard and came to Sherdong's tavern. This time, Sherdong was not the only one who stayed in the tavern. With just a cursory glance, there were at least 50 to 60 airborne realm cultivators gathered there. After Lin Yuan entered the tavern, these people respectfully bowed to Lin Yuan and said in a fanatical voice, Greetings, Lord Demon Emperor. These were all fanatics of the Demon Emperor Association. They were even more convinced of the existence of the ancient demon court than Lin Yuan. They also believed that Lin Yuan was the reincarnation of the ancient demon emperor. After all, anyone who knew a little about Lin Yuan knew that the Black Snake, who was born less than a year ago, went from an ordinary beast to a level 10 wisdom realm monster. Such speed of cultivation almost subverted their definition of the word cultivation. They even felt that their cultivation was nothing more than a waste of time. Logically speaking, when surrounded by 50 to 60 airborne realm humans, even a level 10 wisdom realm monster would not dare to say that it had a 100% chance of winning. However, they could not find the slightest trace of fear on Lin Yuan's face. That calm demeanor was not something that just anyone could fake. Did Sherdong tell you about the mission? Lin Yuan looked around and saw pairs of fanatical eyes, but his heart did not waver in the slightest. The strongest among humans seemed to be at the peak of the Kongming realm. The strongest among monsters was Kirin, the Beast Lord, who was at the peak of the desolate demon realm, infinitely close to the Demon King realm. Although there were higher realms, the path of cultivation was cut off for some reason. Even Kirin, the Beast Lord, was still exploring. Otherwise, with its aptitude, how could it have been stuck at the desolate demon realm for so many years? Many people speculated that the cultivation methods of higher realms were recorded in the ancient cultivation methods. Lin Yuan, who was suspected to be the reincarnation of the ancient demon emperor, became the hope of many people. In particular, Lin Yuan took out a high-grade earth-level cultivation method to kill the fire Kirin, which made many people more convinced of this point. Thwart training techniques were rare, and an upper earth-level thwart training technique was even rarer. If it was not an ancient artifact, how could the Black Serpent take it out so casually? It could not have made it up on the spot, right? We know what to do. Sir Shifter Emperor's painstaking efforts cannot be wasted like this. These people want to force us into a dead end, so we have no choice but to let them die. The members of the Association of the Demon Emperor expressed their opinions one by one. In an instant, the whole tavern was filled with fighting spirit. Very well, let's go. Today the Beast Tide will be near Shunning City. Those bastards hiding in the dark will definitely take the opportunity to take action. In order to defend the Association of the Demon Emperor, and for your own interests, let's send these scum to hell. Teach these scum who tried to impersonate us how the Association of the Demon Emperor does things. Lin Yuan coiled up his snake body, and his heterochromatic eyes flashed with a cold light. The members of the Association of the Demon Emperor filed out, and their auras instantly merged into one. At a glance, it gave people a sense of oppression, as if a storm was coming. When all the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor disappeared from sight, Sherdong stepped to Lin Yuan's side. He lowered his head slightly, and there was a faint sense of uneasiness in his eyes. Have you found out who the traitor is? Lin Yuan withdrew the cold light in his eyes, lowered his eyelids, and asked in a casual tone. The other party was about to take action. If they still did not know who was the culprit, then similar situations would still happen even if they foiled the other party's conspiracy this time. Chapter 251. Yes, but I don't think it's possible. Sherdong knelt on one knee, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, although the evidence is clear this time, I personally don't think Vice President Ding Zai would do such a thing. With his position in the Council of the Demon Emperor, it's impossible for him to be bribed so easily. Moreover, I have investigated him in private. Vice President Ding Zai's background is clean, and he's not one of the remnants of the Jiao clan. The name Ding Zai was not unfamiliar to Lin Yuan. When Su Nen established the Council of the Demon Emperor, Ding Zai was the biggest stumbling block, and even caused the Council of the Demon Emperor to suffer. In the end, it was Lin Yuan who pulled Ding Zai and his followers into the ranks of the Council of the Demon Emperor. Until now, Ding Zai had naturally become an important figure in the Council of the Demon Emperor, and his position was not much lower than Su Nan's. Ding Zai had no interest in power, fame, glory, and wealth. This guy was a cultivator with great perseverance. Although his talent was extremely poor, he still persisted in his cultivation. Moreover, he was determined to walk to the end of the cultivation path. He believed that Lin Yuan, the ancient demon emperor, had a way to change his aptitude. Therefore, he chose to serve under Lin Yuan. Any task that was handed over to Ding Zai would be executed perfectly. Not to mention Sherdong, even Lin Yuan himself did not believe that Ding Zai would be a traitor of the Council of the Demon Emperor. This matter involves a lot of people. Don't make it public for the time being. Deal with the matters at hand first. I will talk to Ding Zai myself later. You can dig around and see if there are any other suspicious points. Lin Yuan nodded at Sherdong, and then stepped out. When the sky was just beginning to brighten, loud alarms woke up the people who were sleeping soundly in Shunning City. What's wrong? The army commander who walked up the city wall with his clothes on frowned slightly, and asked the sentry who sounded the alarms. As the last line of defense against the demonic beasts, Shunning City was naturally not on the same level as the other 6 cities. Shunning City had a troop of rangers who were skilled in archery and horse riding. They were responsible for patrolling the area around Shunning City every day. Yesterday, The Rangers had just reported that there were no demonic beasts within a radius of 50 miles. Only then did he feel relieved to rest. However, he didn't sleep for long before the alarm went off. The sentinel leaned against the alarm and said nothing. The Legion commander frowned slightly, and subconsciously reached out to press on the saber at his waist. He carefully moved towards the sentinel. He reached out and touched the sentry's shoulder lightly. In the next moment, the sentry fell to the ground. At the same time, the sound of a bowstring snapping could be heard in the air. In the next moment, a sharp sound pierced through the air. A sharp crossbow arrow flew from behind the sentry and headed for the Legion commander's throat. The Legion commander's face darkened, and he waved the saber in his hand, directly cutting off the arrow that was shot at him. Pa! 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 A burst of crisp applause sounded. The Legion commander turned around and saw a troop of swordsmen in black capes and ghost masks walking out from the shadows of the area that he had just passed. Pairs of cold and indifferent eyes fell on the Legion commander. They were like a group of evil spirits that had crawled out from hell and were about to devour someone. Who are you? The Legion commander held the saber with both hands, and a tinge of fear appeared in his eyes. These people seemed to be well-trained killers. After killing the sentinel, they set up a trap and then sounded the alarm to lure the Legion commander over. After the trap failed to kill the Legion commander, these guys took the initiative to show up. Clearly, they had come prepared. The Legion commander, who had been on the battlefield for a long time, quickly realized that he was probably going to die today. The Demon Emperor Society is working. The leader of the masked men replied in a hoarse and low voice. Immediately he waved the saber in his hand and said, "Kill." As soon as he finished speaking, the masked men behind him stepped on the ground and rushed out. A large net formed by the sabers directly enveloped the Legion commander. The cold aura of death also filled the air. The Demon Emperor Society. Are you crazy? The Legion commander murmured this name softly. The next moment, horror appeared in his eyes. It was rumored that the Demon Emperor Society was supported by the demonic beasts. That was why they had been repeatedly besieged by the Shenwu dynasty. However, what the Demon Emperor Society had done before was still in the gray area, and did not violate any taboos. But today, the Demon Emperor Society clearly intended to seize the city wall of Shunning City and kill him, the Legion commander. It was estimated that at this moment, the officers under his command had begun to be assassinated. Once the city gate was opened, they would lose the command system. When the demonic beasts entered the city, they would not be able to organize an effective resistance. It would not be an exaggeration to describe what would happen then as a tragedy. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The masked men who had just rushed out flew back one by one, and their bodies were full of crossbow arrows. The leader of the masked men darkened his eyes and revealed a somewhat dignified look. He really did not expect that Shunning City had prepared emergency measures. But the arrow was on the bow. If he left now, his superiors would not let him go when he returned. Looking at the corpses on the ground, the Legion commander's face revealed a blank look. Although he had guessed the purpose of the masked men's visit, there was nothing he could do. He was not even sure if he could survive in the hands of these masked men before the other comrades who had heard the alarm arrived. But now, how did the situation change? Could it be that the other comrades had arrived so quickly? When the Legion commander turned his head, he just happened to see a black shadow that was dressed similarly to the masked men before. If it were not for the various crossbows in their hands, the Legion commander would have thought that the two groups were in the same group. But what was going on now? Could it be that the Demon Emperor Society had an internal strife? The second batch of devil-masked men dispersed to the left and right. A tall and slender figure walked out. He gently pressed the devil-masked mask on his face with his right hand and said coldly, "Hey, bastards who pretended to be us, our Demon Emperor is quite displeased with you. TSK, have we been discovered?" The masked man whose men had all been killed took off the mask on his face. It was Li Hao who had notified the Beast Kings to attack the city. Li Hao didn't attempt to escape. Even if the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor didn't say anything, he knew that the Association of the Demon Emperor had set up an inescapable net. Even if he could escape from the hands of these people, he wouldn't be able to escape the gradually tightening net of the association of the Demon Emperor. He might as well give up and suffer less. Chapter 252. You know your place, but we don't intend to let you live. The leading member of the association of the Demon Emperor shrugged his shoulders and sneered. Today's grudge has been settled. We'll have plenty of chances in the future to play with. Finishing his words, he gently pressed his palm down. Swish, 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 swish. The crossbow bolt shot out again, and instantly pierced through the defenseless Li Hao. Until Li Hao fell down, his eyes were still filled with unwillingness. Obviously, he did not expect that these members of the association of the Demon Emperor would not even have the interest to interrogate him and directly kill him. The hunt is over. Let's go. It's time to get down to business. The leading devil-masked man waved his hand and led his men back into the darkness. The corps commander, who was almost killed for no reason and then rescued for no reason, was at a loss. He stared at Li Hao's body on the ground. After a while he gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Bastard, don't let me find out which force you are from. I'll make you pay for what you did today." Some people would even gamble with human lives for a momentary victory or defeat. These dead devil-masked men pretended to be members of the association of the Demon Emperor to help the demonic beasts attack the city. Their purpose was to drive the association of the Demon Emperor out of the human territory. However, their actions were detected by the association of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, during the operation today, the members of the association of the Demon Emperor suddenly came out and killed these people. The corps commander did not have much interest in the conflict between the two dark organizations. However, this matter involved the entire Shunning City. All the people in the city, including him, were abandoned. This crossed the bottom line that he had been holding in his heart. In other words, they had crossed the bottom line in the hearts of most humans. Rumble, rumble. A thunderous sound came. The corps commander looked over and saw demonic beasts approaching Shunning City. Glancing from the corner of his eyes, he saw soldiers covered in blood rushing up to the city wall again. The corps commander squinted his eyes and exuded a dangerous aura. He said coldly, "Brothers, control the city defense equipment to attack the beast tide. Before these beasts touch the city wall, we'll drive them back to the Hengduan Mountain." At the same time, outside a remote courtyard, Lin Yuan was lying on the trunk of a big tree. His heterochromatic eyes looked in the direction of the city wall. Various city defense equipment was ringing in his ears. Tonight was not going to be a peaceful night. Even if he was sleeping like a log after the alarm and the city defense equipment bombardment, he should be completely awake now. Two powerful auras directly locked onto this remote courtyard. Sensing the threat, the Fire Qilin lowered its body and slowly walked out of its room. "Fire Kirin, I've heard of your name." The first to speak was a middle-aged man wearing bright silver armor with a 3-meter-long halberd by his side. He had his hands behind his back. It was Yan Xingqi, the gatekeeper of Shunning City. It was said that he was a famous general of the Wanjian dynasty in his early years. He was almost as famous as Lei Qiusheng. After the fall of the Wanjian dynasty, Yan Xingqi's reputation was too great. Lei Qiusheng was afraid of him, but also admired him. However, Yan Xingqi was not willing to submit to Lei Qiusheng. He took the initiative to transfer to Shunning City to defend against the demonic beasts from the Hengduan Mountain. "Fire Kirin, the last time we met, you seemed to be much stronger than you are now. How come after so many years, not only did your cultivation not improve, it even started to regress?" Master Qin of the Free House was wearing a white monk's robe. He did not have the compassion of a monk at all. His words were like a steel knife stabbing into Fire Kirin's heart. "Yan Xingqi Qin, you two bastards." When this king was at his peak, you two bastards didn't even have the courage to challenge this king. Fire Kirin snorted coldly. On the surface, it looked like it was not at a disadvantage at all. However, Lin Yuan, who had been with Fire Kirin for some time, saw a hint of panic in Fire Kirin's eyes. Obviously, this legendary existence had already thought of retreating. It started to look for a way out under the watchful eyes of the two Void Realm human powerhouses. With its current strength, it did not dare to say that it had a 50% chance of winning against one of them. Now that it had to fight against two of them, Fire Kirin would definitely not be able to win. However, the outcome of a battle did not determine life and death. Not everyone had to fight to the death. Most of the time, they would stop after a winner was determined. The two human powerhouses came together. Although Fire Kirin was not their match, if Fire Kirin wanted to leave, the two of them were not confident that they could make Fire Kirin stay. Fire Kirin, don't tell me you're thinking of leaving? Yan Xingqi reached out and grabbed the crescent halberd beside him. He sneered. Ever since you entered Shunning City, we've been paying attention to you. We've been preparing for a few days before making our move. Do you really think you can escape? Although Master Qin did not speak, he had already released his aura. His battle intent was awe-inspiring. They were trying to trick Fire Kirin, hoping that Fire Kirin would give up on the idea of running away and fight them directly. Compared to demonic beasts, humans were undoubtedly more cunning existences. They were experts in using the power of words to disturb the originally calm state of mind of their opponents, especially in this kind of situation that brought about an enormous pressure. Once the Fire Qilin's heart was unable to withstand the pressure, these two would start with a killing move. Trying to trick me? If you want to make me stay, let's see if you have the ability. Show me what you're capable of. Fire Kirin naturally would not be disturbed by Yan Xingqi's words. As it spoke, it had already chosen a direction to escape and rushed out. Here, Yan Xingqi roared. The crescent halberd in his hand had already been thrown out. With a whistling sound, it smashed towards Fire Kirin. The Fire Qilin's eyes narrowed, and it actually didn't dodge, allowing the crescent halberd to land on its body. It immediately opened its mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood, but the Fire Qilin still didn't have any thoughts of fighting back. Borrowing the impact of the crescent halberd, its fleeing speed increased again. Fall. Master Qin's white monk's robe fluttered even though there was no wind. Instantly, rays of golden light bloomed between heaven and earth, converging into a huge beam of light and smashing onto Fire Kirin's body. This time, Fire Kirin did not dare to take it head-on. It could only choose to stop and crash into a nearby building. Boom. A small building collapsed with a loud bang. The Fire Qilin barely dodged the collision of the golden light. The golden light that fell to the ground instantly smashed a huge pit nearly 100 meters deep in the ground. You two old things, I'll remember today's grudge. Looking at the huge pit that appeared beside it, Fire Kirin's face darkened. After saying those words, it dashed out again. Chapter 253. The Fire Kirin was focused on escaping and had no intention of fighting Master Qin and Yan Xingqi. Even the air was filled with a burning aura. As time passed, Qin and Yan Xingqi's attacks became faster and faster, and their strength became stronger and stronger. The existences of the Void Realm and the Desolate Demon Realm had their own battlefields. If the beast tied from outside the city entered the city, Qin and Yan Xingqi would have to retreat temporarily and not interfere in the battle in any way. Otherwise, they would be breaking the rules. The next time something like this happened, the Desolate Demon Realm existences would also be mobilized. When that time came, even if it was a small-scale battle, the casualties on both sides would be terrifying. So. Sharp sounds of air being pierced rang out. Pitch-black arrows burning with flames continuously fell on the ground in front of the Fire Qilin with the momentum of a heavenly river. The rising flames almost ignited half of the street. TSK, don't you humans have brains? This is just an ordinary fire. Even an intelligence realm fire-type beast can't deal with it, and you want to use it against me? What a joke. Standing in front of the sea of flames, the Fire Kirin had a cold smile on its face. As it spoke, it took the initiative to walk in the direction of the sea of flames, as if it wanted to step into the sea of flames in front of these humans. But soon, the Fire Kirin's movements came to an abrupt halt, and a trace of surprise flashed through its eyes. It could feel that the flames were indeed ordinary flames, but when it took a step forward, the flames were indifferent and refused to follow any of its orders. As a king among fire-type beasts, if it was just an ordinary flame, It would be impossible for it not to respond to its orders. This could only happen under two circumstances. The first was that the flames in front of it were all similar to the purgatory fire. Because it was not a purgatory demon beast, the purgatory fire would resist its control. The second reason was that there was someone nearby who was more proficient in the fire element than it, and instantly changed and deleted its orders. That was why it was so calm. Because of the strange phenomenon from before, the fire Kirin finally stopped running. Instead, it looked at Qin and Yan Xingqi who were chasing after it. Yan Xingqi twirled the crescent halberd in his hand and sneered. You should have known that you would not be able to escape from our encirclement. Why did you waste everyone's time from the beginning? Now are you ready to die? The fire Kirin's eyes were gloomy. It did not respond to Yan Xingqi's words, and only muttering. After a while, something seemed to appear in the sky. The people standing on the ground could clearly feel that the sky had darkened. At this moment, the sky was as gloomy as before a rainstorm. However, when they raised their heads, they felt that it was extremely dazzling. They couldn't see what was in the sky, let alone know why the sky had darkened. It's the doomsday meteor. Although Master Qin did not raise his head, he still had a serious look on his face. Every famous powerhouse will have one or two trump cards. If they don't have any, it can only be said that this existence has not really stepped into the ranks of the world's top class. For example, Yan Xingqi's overlord carries the cauldron could almost defeat an entire medium-sized beast tied by himself. The same is true for Fire Qilin's doomsday meteor. If Fire Qilin used doomsday meteor in its heyday, it could even directly raise the entire Shunning City to the ground. Existences at their level, if placed in Lin Yuan's previous life, could already be described as strategic weapons. Yan Xingqi twirled the crescent halberd in his hand, squinted his eyes and said, "The doomsday meteor is very powerful, but it cannot move while it is being cast. I will go and hold it off first. You take the opportunity to kill the fire Kirin." Okay. Master Qin nodded and did not say anything else. A circle of golden light appeared all over his body, and he turned into a small golden man, and rushed towards the fire Kirin. Lin Yuan, who was hiding and watching the battle, slightly looked to the side, and his heart inexplicably tightened. After all, the bloodline upgrade mission was still on him. Something like killing the fire Kirin naturally had to be done by himself. If the fire Kirin was killed by Master Qin while it was being cast, how could he explain himself? Boom. Before Master Qin, who had turned into a golden light, could touch the fire Kirin, he was directly pushed back several steps by a figure wearing a red robe with cloud patterns. He raised his head with a face full of shock, and his eyes fell on the puppet that was moving on its own. A touch of fear flashed across his eyes. The fire Kirin was fully focused on casting the doomsday meteor, and could not control the puppet to fight with him. So at this moment, the puppet was moving on its own. Seeing the puppet push back Master Qin, a touch of doubt flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes, but he lay dormant again. Since the fire Kirin was not in danger for the time being, there was no need for him to join in the fun. After all, it was a battle between the Void Realm and the Desolate Demon Realm, and it was difficult for him, a little demonic beast who had not even reached the Mountain Lord realm, to get involved. The puppet looked at Master Qin coldly. With a slight shake of its right hand, a sword tip emerged from its palm. The puppet's aura also changed abruptly. It changed from a pile of rotten wood to a domineering swordsman. Judging by its aura, it was as if it had been determined by the world. Seeing this scene, Master Qin was even more shocked. Behind the fire Kirin, there was indeed a powerful force, and it might even be on the same level as the force that suppressed the Shenwu dynasty this time. Otherwise, how could a mere puppet stand up and fight on its own when its master could not control it? It was precisely because of the existence of this puppet that the fire Qilin changed its previous attitude, and unscrupulously released its ultimate move. It was not worried that the opponent would take the opportunity to kill it or interrupt its ultimate move. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound of friction rang out. A huge meteorite slowly fell from the sky, crushing towards Shunning City. Yan Xingqi flew up, and the crescent halberd in his hand spun, and the illusion of a shirtless man with shoulder-length hair instantly appeared behind him. This illusion maintained the exact same posture as Yan Xingqi, and did not touch anything, but it was able to greatly enhance Yan Xingqi's strength. If Yan Xingqi's previous combat strength was 1, then under the enhancement of the illusion, Yan Xingqi's combat strength was at least 5. Chapter 254. The first meteorite was smashed into pieces by Yan Xingqi's crescent halberd. This meteorite was made of pure energy, so naturally, it would not break into smaller pieces and continue to attack Shunning City. However, Yan Xingqi's face showed a hint of seriousness. After all, the last time the Fire Kirin used Doomsday Meteor, it summoned meteorites to bombard a place for 3 days and 3 nights. It forcefully smashed a large plain into an abyss-like terrain. Although the current Fire Qilin couldn't be compared to the Fire Qilin of the past, summoning dozens of meteorites was still an easy task for the Fire Qilin. However, smashing these meteorites was not an easy task for the Fire Qilin. The first meteorite took a long time to form. Although he smashed the meteorite with one strike, that strike had drained nearly 30% of his energy. Therefore, if Master Qin could not interrupt the Fire Kirin's casting as soon as possible, he might not be able to withstand it. Of course, it was not impossible to take a step back. After all, there was still a Guardian Formation in Shunning City. If such a meteorite fell on the Guardian Formation, it would at most cause some ripples on the Guardian Formation. Although it would be difficult to withstand the number of meteorites, there was no other way. As the protector of Shunning City, Yan Xingqi was very clear about the material reserves of this city. Not to mention withstanding the attack of the beast tied outside. If the materials here were moved out, it would not be a problem to support a small-scale war. The Fire Qilin's act of directly summoning doomsday meteors to attack Shunning City was truly disgusting. If Yan Xingqi didn't stop these meteors, by the time the Fire Qilin finished casting the spell, the defensive formation of Shunning City would have been on the verge of collapse. Not to mention the huge amount of resources that would be consumed. The defensive formation, without sufficient energy supply, might not be able to defend against those demon beasts that were eyeing the city covetously. In just a moment, Yan Xingqi waved his crescent halberd again, and smashed another meteorite. A thin layer of sweat even appeared on his forehead. Standing in the air, he constantly adjusted his breathing, trying to adjust his physical strength to minimize the loss of energy. However, the moment he lowered his head, Yan Xingqi's eyes slightly narrowed, revealing a hint of anxiety. With his eyesight, he could easily see Master Qin, who was restrained by the puppet. Although he did not know why the Fire Kirin had a helper, the situation was very disadvantageous for him. However, the current situation was obviously very unfavorable for him. If Master Qin could not break through the puppet's sword curtain, the Doomsday Meteor would not stop. In this way, Shunning City would definitely not be able to survive this beast tide. I will not allow. You filthy demon beasts, take one more step into my hometown. Yan Xingqi's black hair flew in the air, his muscles bulging out. If his previous physique could only be described as tall and slender, then the current Yan Xingqi could be described as burly and strong. Just his arm alone was 3 times the thigh of a normal adult man's thigh. His body's as his had. Boom! The 3 meteorites were smashed one by Yan Xingqi. One could see his bulging muscles pulsating. His eyes were also filled with blood. It was obvious that his body had reached its limit. However, at this time, Yan Xingqi's face did not reveal any fear. His pair of cold eyes stared at the meteorites that were still forming in the air. Yan Xingqi's lips curled up slightly. His feet stepped in the air, and his entire body began to spin. The crescent halberd was completely spun by him. When his speed reached its peak, Yan Xingqi suddenly let go of his hand. The crescent halberd maintained its high speed as it swung in the direction of the meteorites. The 3 meteorites that had just formed were smashed into pieces by the crescent halberd. At the same time, the crescent halberd streaked across the sky and quickly disappeared. However, Yan Xingqi did not have the slightest intention of retrieving his weapon. He took a horse stance in the air and stabilized himself. Then he slowly formed a fist technique. This was one of the basic fist techniques passed down in the Xinwu dynasty's army. It had the effect of strengthening one's body. If an ordinary person practiced this fist technique, they could easily live to 70 or 80 years old. They could even directly enter the ranks of cultivators. However, even with such a basic fist technique, supported by Yan Xingqi's terrifying strength, it still exuded a domineering aura that could shatter mountains. Every move he made, even the sound of air exploding could be heard. Yan Xingqi caught up with the two falling meteors and smashed them into pieces with a single punch. The scene was extremely spectacular. So this is one of the strongest among the humans? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and sized up Yan Xingqi, who was hovering in the sky like a god. His eyes could not help but reveal a hint of seriousness. His path had been too smooth, and there was no barrier between realms. With the support of the blood boil technique, it was easy for him to kill a few strong enemies above his realm. Although he had shocked the world during the 3 crusades in Zhongshan City, and although the humans had deviated from the science and technology tree, the cultivation system and the science and technology system were still combined quite well. However, this only made Lin Yuan a little wary, but it was not enough to make him revere them. After all, after being a demonic beast for so long, humans had become a synonym for weakness in Lin Yuan's heart. Especially in a place like Zhongshan City, that did not have a Heaven Dipper realm expert, there was not even a single opponent that Lin Yuan could take seriously. Over time, Lin Yuan had unknowingly become arrogant. Yan Xingqi's performance today was like a blow to the head, directly waking Lin Yuan up. Lin Yuan could not help but put away his thoughts of looking down on the heroes of the world. However, after seeing Yan Xingqi's godlike combat strength, Lin Yuan completely put away the contempt in his heart. When his gaze landed on Yan Xingqi and Master Qin, Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flickered with a hint of surprise. He had seen Yan Xingqi's combat strength with his own eyes, but what did it mean that Master Qin was evenly matched with a puppet? This guy, could it be that he was hiding his strength? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and his body emitted a faint chill. Even Master Qin felt a chill run down his spine. Chapter 255. The plan to kill the Fire Kirin had to be carried out today. Lin Yuan didn't care how many tricks the Fire Kirin had, nor did he care about the secrets of the Fire Kirin. He only knew that as long as he could kill the Fire Kirin, it would be very beneficial to him. Especially since things had already progressed to this stage, Lin Yuan simply couldn't allow the slightest possibility of an accident to happen. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Under Lin Yuan's signal, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, led by Sherdong, once again shot out the previous arrows. The black arrows were burning with crimson flames. Their target wasn't the puppet, the Fire Kirin, or Master Qin. Instead, they were thrown in a circle, directly encircling the puppet and Master Qin. These weren't ordinary arrows. Each arrow was plucked by Maro from the Scarlet Flame Swamp. This kind of wood that could still exist after being calcined by the fire of purgatory was a very good material for refining equipment. However, Lin Yuan obviously didn't have the ability to refine equipment, so he could only make use of it. He polished this kind of wood into arrows, and then used Maro to create a kind of kerosene that could directly produce pseudo-fire of purgatory when it was heated with the air through intense friction. The Fire Kirin couldn't control these flames previously because they were fire of purgatory, which was almost completely different from ordinary flames. However, the Fire Kirin could be considered to have reacted very quickly. If it had directly walked into the range of the pseudo-fire of purgatory, it might have already been burned to ashes. Association of the Demon Emperor. What is the meaning of this? Master Qin, who was trapped with the puppet, suddenly had a gloomy expression. He bowed his body and vigilantly sized up the puppet that was ready to attack in front of him. As he growled in a low voice, Sherdong put on the devil mask and walked out of a shop with a long saber in his hand. Then, members of the Association of Demon Emperor, who were dressed similarly to him, jumped down from the buildings on both sides of the street with various melee weapons in their hands. Their eyes fell on Master Qin's face without any respect or fear. Sherdong purposely lowered his voice and said, "Master Qin, we sincerely want to cooperate with you, but it seems like you are not willing to cooperate with us. You are wasting so much time on a puppet. What, do you have some personal grudge with Yan Xingqi?" Do you want to use Kirin to kill him? Without waiting for Master Qin to reply, Sherdong laughed coldly and said, "Oh, by the way, there are only 2 Void Realm Masters in Shunning City. If you have any good stuff, the only one who can compete with you is Yan Xingqi. If he dies, your life will be much better in the future, right? At least in the 7 border cities, you are the strongest. Whoever sees you has to give you some face, isn't that right?" Sherdong's words were like a sharp saber that stabbed into Master Qin's heart. He held back before because he was afraid of the power behind Fire Kirin. But he couldn't deny that Sherdong's words were one of his true thoughts. If he could use Fire Kirin to kill Yan Xingqi, he would be the supreme master in the 7 border cities without this stumbling block. Bullshit! Master Qin shouted angrily. Looking at the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor walking towards the Fire Qilin with their sabers drawn, he said coldly, "The Fire Qilin is not someone you can afford to offend. Even I am regretting taking this job. Even the background of the kid with you is far inferior to the Fire Qilin. What kind of bullshit is your Association of Demon Emperors? If you mess with such an existence, believe it or not, when the sun rises tomorrow, your whole organization will be hung on the city wall. What kind of bullshit is our Association of Demon Emperor?" Sherdong was slightly stunned. His eyes showed a touch of astonishment. Then he laughed and said loudly, "I will tell you now. What you don't dare to do, our Demon Emperor will. What you don't kill, our Demon Emperor will kill. From today onwards, there can only be one voice in the underground world of the 7 border cities. Fire Kirin must die today. If you old things meddle in other people's business, hee." The Association of Demon Emperor was a group of people who hated the Shenwu dynasty. Their ultimate goal was to overthrow the Shenwu dynasty's rule of this land. As for the forces under the banner of the Shenwu dynasty, they were not afraid of them at all. The Association of Demon Emperor didn't have a territory now, but they would in the future. The Association of Demon Emperor didn't have any experts now, but they would in the future. Throughout the hundreds of years of the Shenwu dynasty, there had never been a force that developed as strongly as the Association of Demon Emperor. Criminals, demi-humans, demonic beasts, these forces that were ignored by the orthodox dynasties were now gathered under the banner of the Association of Demon Emperor. As long as the Association of Demon Emperor didn't do anything that would put them at the brink of death, this organization would only become stronger and stronger. Its influence would also grow bigger and bigger. It wouldn't stop until it became the top existence in this world. After all, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor had never been welcomed in the secular world. Apart from their own people, everyone else was their enemy. The enormous pressure would only make them grow, and would not make the organization grow bloated and rotten as time went by. Of course, there were ways to curb the growth of the Association of Demon Emperor. As long as the orthodox dynasties, first-rate forces, and various aristocratic families were willing to accept the existence of the Association of Demon Emperor, then if they had to choose between 2 forces, except for those with lofty ambitions, almost everyone would choose the established first-rate force instead of a developing force. However, this method of taking drastic measures obviously wasn't something that anyone could do. After all, most of the forces couldn't afford to lose face. Even if some people were willing to feign civility, as time passed, their true colors would be exposed. Even if they didn't do anything, the members under their feet wouldn't treat the existence that they had previously trampled under their feet as their true companions. Lin Yuan had considered if other dynasties were to imitate the Association of Demon Emperors model and establish an organization. However, just like the business world in his previous life, everyone knew that some things could make money, but once you threw yourself into it, you would often lose everything. After all, while you were competing with your peers, you still had to see if those above you were willing to lend a hand to you, right? Although the Association of Demon Emperor wasn't an independent force in the Shenwu dynasty, its influence was deeply intertwined. Even if the Shenwu dynasty wanted to remove the Association of Demon Emperor, they would have to pay the price in blood. At this precarious moment, the Shenwu dynasty wouldn't lay a hand on the Association of Demon Emperor. By the time they recovered, it would be too late. Therefore, in the other 6 dynasties, Once an organization similar to the Association of Demon Emperor appeared, it would be exterminated with full force. Chapter 256. Master Qin was at a loss for words. The higher-ups had clearly stated that the Kongming realm and the desolate demon realm could not casually participate in the affairs of the major forces. Their purpose of existence was to serve as strategic weapons to deter the enemy. With the existence of the Association of the Demon Emperor, even if Yan Xingqi died, Master Qin would not become the leader of the 7 border cities. Not to mention how many members of the Association of the Demon Emperor had yet to appear. Just the mysterious Demon Emperor alone was not in existence that anyone dared to covet. Previously, there was a rumor that the Demon Emperor of the Association of the Demon Emperor had even given out an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward for killing the Fire Kirin. Furthermore, it was the kind that could be obtained as long as one participated in the mission. If it was not for the fact that they were unsure of the authenticity of the rumor, many rogue cultivators would have already rushed here to kill the Fire Kirin. Since ancient times, all kinds of cultivation techniques were the treasures of a sect. They could accept the loss of cultivation techniques or even the loss of generations, but they definitely did not want their own cultivation techniques to be leaked. It was not that there were no cultivators like the Demon Emperor, who directly used an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward. However, those people were all born in famous sects and had a blood feud with the destruction of their country. That was why they would take out their ancestral cultivation techniques to seek revenge for them. However, the conditions were extremely harsh. Even if they completed the mission, they might not be able to obtain the cultivation technique. Now that the Demon Emperor had casually taken out an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward, it had already attracted the attention of many big shots. However, the big shots restrained each other, and no one could easily touch the Association of the Demon Emperor, let alone find the mysterious Demon Emperor. Even if they wanted to obtain the real treasure of the Association of the Demon Emperor, they were powerless. After all, everyone was the same. If they could not obtain something, then no one else could. However, under such circumstances, the rumor that the Demon Emperor was the reincarnation of the ancient Demon Emperor had already been confirmed. Even Lin Yuan himself did not expect that the identity that he casually made up when he wanted to plant a spy in the mountain-blocking city and make arrangements for his future conquest of the Tianwu continent would actually be believed by someone. Furthermore, as time passed, more and more people believed in it. Black Snake, are you still not going to show yourself? Ignoring the bickering between Sherdong and Master Qin, Fire Kirin suddenly opened its eyes and asked. Now that things had developed to this point, especially when he had just calmed down to think about it, Fire Kirin realized that the one who betrayed him was not necessarily Brother Mi, who had been caught by Mountain Blocking City. Instead, it was the Black Snake who had been following him. He seemed to have his own plans all along. Furthermore, he was obviously in contact with Mountain Blocking City. This group of people wearing devil masks and calling themselves the Association of Demon Emperors were obviously the subordinates of that Black Snake. Even if I show myself, what can you do? Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and slowly appeared in Fire Kirin's line of sight. He sneered. Senior Fire Kirin, are you going to scare me away with just a few words? Why don't you think about how much strength you still have left to use, and do you dare to stop the spell and release Yan Xingqi? Phew. Fire Kirin exhaled a long breath of turbid air, opened its eyes wide, and said with a bitter smile, "It seems that I have underestimated you, Black Snake. You've been trying to catch wild geese all day long, but I didn't expect to be pecked in the eye by the wild geese. You were scheming against me right under my nose, but I didn't see through it. I was too careless." With Fire Kirin's ability, tracking and investigating Lin Yuan was not a difficult task. However, things had developed to this point, not because Lin Yuan's plan was outstanding, but because Fire Kirin did not regard Lin Yuan as its opponent at all. It had been preparing to leave Shunning City and did not take Lin Yuan seriously at all, let alone pay attention to what Lin Yuan had been doing during this period of time. Now that things have come to this, there's no use regretting it. Lin Yuan said with a smile. Ever since he contacted Lei Fan, He had been on tenterhooks. If Bai Lu could know about this matter, then as long as Fire Qilin was willing, it could also investigate at any time. Therefore, for the past few days, Lin Yuan had been reminding him to stay alert. He was afraid that his plan would be discovered by Fire Qilin. If Fire Qilin directly attacked and killed him, he really didn't have much chance of winning. Fire Qilin nodded slightly, indicating that it agreed with Lin Yuan's words. Now that things had come to this, there was no use regretting it. However, Fire Qilin's eyes flashed with a hint of doubt, and asked, "But I'm curious, in the Sumeru world, there were some disagreements between us, but in the end, you benefited from it, and I did not really do anything to you. Instead, I saved you. Even if we are not friends, we don't have to be enemies, right?" Lin Yuan was silent. Although he and Fire Qilin had always been enemies, there was no enmity between them. However, Lin Yuan's actions could be said to be repaying evil with good. There were always two sides to everything, and it could not be said that Fire Qilin's heart was definitely good even if the result was good. If Lin Yuan did not have the system with him, and was caught in the Sumeru world, his ending would not be any better than Jiao Xinghai and the others. Even if Lin Yuan had avoided being devoured of his life force, when Fire Qilin had poured the life force it needed to restore its strength into his body, it had intended to use him to attract the attention of its lord, so that it could take the opportunity to escape. Later, when it discovered that the Sumeru world could not be saved, it simply detonated the Sumeru world. The reason why it took Lin Yuan away was naturally not out of kindness, but because it could not bear to give up such a huge amount of life force. It planned to find a safe place to devour Lin Yuan to absorb the life force. However, just like before, the devouring power did not take effect, and the life force was quickly refined by Lin Yuan, and both sides entered a period of peace. You and I are both monsters, and the law of the jungle is the law of the jungle. You don't eat me because it is useless to eat me. In addition, you and I have different ideologies. I know that there must be a powerful force behind you. Even if you leave the Hengduan Mountains now, sooner or later, you will come back again. At that time, in your eyes, won't I be like a weed that can be harvested at any time? Lin Yuan took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "I am not afraid of death, but I cherish my life very much. I still have some things that I must do, so eliminating potential threats is very necessary for me. Fire Qilin, if you were in my position, would you be able to find a reason to let go of a future threat?" This time, it was Fire Qilin who was silent. Thinking about it from another perspective, Fire Qilin expressed that not only would it not let go of the black snake, it might even be more ruthless. Chapter 257. However, since you know that there is a powerful force behind me, you should also know that they are determined to obtain the Hengduan mountain range. Even if you kill me, you will not be able to change anything. Someday in the future, you will meet their members again. However, if it is me, I can at least spare your life, can't I? Fire Qilin exuded a confident aura. It smiled and said, "The Hengduan mountain range is ours. Even if I fail in the end, they will send a stronger existence. How long can Qilin alone protect the Hengduan mountain range? You are a new generation expert in the Hengduan mountain range. You should know very well that those old things in the Hengduan mountain range are about to die. But after so many years, how many of the new generation of monsters in the Hengduan mountain range have grown?" The Hengduan mountain range was indeed a gathering place for monsters, but monsters were not the only ones in the Hengduan mountain range. There were also groups of monsters in other parts of the Tianwu continent. Most of the human forces kept some monsters as food or laborers. Decades ago, when the Beast Lord Qilin was at its peak, not to mention the Hengduan mountain range, these people would tremble in fear at the news of the Beast Lord Qilin. But at this time, the Beast Lord Qilin had been weak for a long time, and the Hengduan mountain range happened to be in the center of the Tianwu continent. It would be a joke to say that those people did not want to control the Hengduan mountain range. You don't have to worry about that. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes narrowed slightly. All the muscles in his body tensed up. He was ready to fight with the Fire Qilin at any time. At this time, the Fire Qilin might die anyway. Lin Yuan had to be on guard against it taking him down with it. The fire Kirin closed its eyes slightly and sighed. I tried so hard to break through life and death and return to this world. Unfortunately, I didn't even get to breathe the air of freedom for a few days before I have to die again. Perhaps the fire Kirin knew that it could no longer change its fate, or perhaps it had already died once. Although the fire Kirin took life and death very seriously, it was much more indifferent than those who had never died. It didn't even have the interest to attack Lin Yuan. It closed its eyes and waited for death. Black Snake, hurry up if you want to make a move. This guy seems to be planning something big. I can barely hold on. Yan Xingqi's voice came from above. Only now did Lin Yuan realize that the originally gloomy sky had completely darkened. If it weren't for the faint light, Lin Yuan would have thought that the sky had turned dark. Lin Yuan didn't even bother to look up. He knew that the fire Kirin was definitely gathering all its power to combine the meteorites that were supposed to condense into a single entity. Just by looking at the surrounding darkness, Lin Yuan had a rough idea of the size of the meteorite. If it really fell, even the protective formation of Shunning City would be unable to withstand it. At that time, the entire Shunning City, including himself, would probably be wiped out. Black Snake, you only have one chance. If you can't kill me, everyone will die with me. The smile on the fire Qilint's face revealed a hint of madness, and its tone was somewhat overbearing. Under such circumstances, all the pressure was placed directly on Lin Yuan. If it was someone with a weak will, they would quickly doubt themselves under such circumstances. They would feel that they couldn't kill the fire Kirin with one strike. If their state of mind was disturbed, everything would be exposed. However, Lin Yuan had experienced two lives. Whether it was the blood feud in his previous life or the obsession in this life, Lin Yuan's will had reached a terrifying level. Almost as soon as the fire Kirin finished speaking, Lin Yuan had already begun to accumulate power. Master Qin's face was slightly distorted. He said in a low voice, Black Snake, do you know what you are doing? You don't really want to kill the fire Kirin, do you? Lunatic. Lunatic. Do you know how terrifying the forces behind the fire Kirin are? If you want to die, then die by yourself. Don't drag all of us down with you, okay? Master Qin really regretted taking on this task. The powerful force behind the fire Qilin had set its eyes on the Hengduan mountain range. It had casually allowed an existence like the fire Qilin to appear at the edge of the Hengduan mountain range. Moreover, it had quickly raised its flag and issued a challenge to the Qilin, the Beast Lord. This matter was originally an internal matter of the demon beasts. If they handled it well, not only would they not offend either side, they might even be able to secretly take a sip of the soup while the others ate the meat. However, if the fire Kirin died in Shunning City today, the nature of this matter would completely change. Especially since he and Yan Xingqi, who purposely attacked the fire Kirin, would definitely be implicated. The forces behind the fire Kirin would definitely not leave them out of the revenge. Just thinking about it made Master Qin's heart tremble. However, behind him was the sea of purgatory fire, and in front of him was the puppet swordsman. Even if he wanted to rush into the sky to stop the Black Snake, he had to consider whether the puppet swordsman in front of him was willing to let him pass, and whether Yan Xingqi, who was in the sky, would allow him to interfere at this critical moment. After all, Yan Xingqi had never been afraid of anything, especially the revenge of a powerful force. Previously, when Lei Qiuxing gathered all the rebels to attack the imperial city, Yan Xingqi dared to lead tens of thousands of imperial guards to fight against Lei Qiuxing using the imperial city as the battlefield. Due to the huge difference in strength, Yan Xingqi dragged on for half a month. When the last soldier was killed, Lei Qiuxing finally broke into the imperial palace. In that battle, Lei Qiuxing witnessed the terror of Yan Xingqi. Therefore, after the failure of the imperial decree, Lei Qiuxing did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. He only sent Yan Xingqi to Shunning City in the name of exiling a criminal from the previous dynasty, and used Yan Xingqi's hands to clean up the atmosphere around the Hengduan mountain range. Facts had proven that Lei Qiuxing did not turn hostile back then, which was indeed the right choice. Yan Xingqi's will was very firm. He only wanted to protect the land behind him. Therefore, for so many years, Yan Xingqi stood in Shunning City and never backed down. No matter what it was, As long as it threatened the safety of his homeland, he would only attack it madly. There were no exceptions. The existence of the Fire Kirin was undoubtedly more dangerous than the Beast Lord Kirin. Therefore, Yan Xingqi hoped that the Fire Kirin would die in Shunning City today more than the Black Snake. Of course, if the Black Snake could perish together with the Fire Kirin, that would be Yan Xingqi's wish. Damn it! Lunatics! They are all lunatics! Dashi muttered in frustration. He really could not make up his mind at this moment. Chapter 258. Two flowers bloomed, each representing a branch. Let's not talk about the end of the battle between the top experts in Shunning City. Let's talk about the main battlefield. Bai Lu originally planned to follow Black Snake's plan and attack Shunning City after dragging out the allied forces in the camp. However, it was clear that not all the monsters could understand how terrifying Lin Yuan's plan was. Not all the monsters could calm down and wait. Therefore, when Bai Lu proposed the plan, it was strongly refuted. Most of the Beast Kings believed that the demonic beasts had strong physiques. Facing a group of weak human cultivators, they only needed to charge forward recklessly to flatten the humans. In addition, the Demon Emperor had promised them before. Although they did not believe it, there was no problem in trying. Under the voting system of the majority, Bai Lu could not stop the capricious behavior of these Beast Kings. He could only helplessly follow the tide of monsters to the vicinity of Shunning City. What happened next almost made all the demonic beasts pale with fright. First, there was the battle on the city wall of Shunning City. Although they did not see the whole process, they could smell the blood from afar. It was obvious that the conditions promised by the Demon Emperor Association had begun to be fulfilled. Therefore, the demonic beasts began to rush to Shunning City excitedly. However, before the demonic beasts could get close to the city wall, huge meteorites fell from the sky and smashed into the protective array of Shunning City. Not long after, a powerful human stepped into the air and destroyed more than 10 meteorites with ease. In the face of an existence of this level, they simply did not have any ability to resist. If that human had not been dealing with the meteors in the sky and had fallen into their formation, it was estimated that in less than an hour, these demonic beasts would have been completely slaughtered by the other party. However, the words spoken by the man earlier caused the group of demonic beasts to hold their breaths. Black Snake? Was it the Black Snake in their imagination? The only one who could confirm this was Bai Lu, who had met Lin Yuan before. Looking at the ghostly figure in the sky, Bai Lu could not help but sigh. Not long ago, the Black Snake was the weakest among the Beast Kings in the Hengduan Mountains. Whether in cultivation, subordinates, or territory, it was not ranked at all in the Hengduan Mountains. But how long had it been? The Black Serpent's cultivation was already above small Beast Kings like them. Even if it cooperated with humans, the partners it chose were clearly existences that stood at the peak of the human world. Bai Lu, what should we do? King Kong looked worriedly at the huge meteorite hanging high in the sky and asked resentfully. It didn't have a big heart, so it still felt panicked at this time. It was only a little better than the ordinary demonic beasts that had already fled into the Hengduan Mountains. It clearly understood that even if it had 2 more legs, it would not be able to run out of the area covered by the huge meteorites under such a blow. What else can we do? Pray. Bai Lu rolled his eyes and said cheerfully, there must be strong people fighting in Shunning City. This blow does not distinguish between friend and foe. Even the spellcaster would not be able to withstand it, so the spellcaster must have been forced to a dead end. Otherwise, he would not use such a thing to perish together. Now we can only pray that the spellcaster will be beheaded before he completes the final casting. In this case, we may have a glimmer of hope. It was not that Bai Lu could see it clearly, but this was indeed a sad fact. Since they entered the range of Shunning City, their lives had been out of their control, especially under the battle of several top experts. These demonic beasts only felt that they were trembling and did not have the slightest intention to fight at all. King Kong looked at Bai Lu suspiciously and whispered, although you are as calm as usual, in the face of such a crisis, something is wrong. Tell me honestly, do you know something? As he spoke, King Kong suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air and frowned. Hiss, the black serpent mentioned by the human expert, Could it be the black serpent I'm thinking of now? F***ck. King Kong almost couldn't hold back the curse that was about to come out of his mouth. Previously, when they attacked Mountain Blocking City, the black serpent was the one with the lowest cultivation among them. Although the black serpent's combat strength was not weak, it was nothing compared to King Kong, who was also good at fighting. If King Kong had fought the black serpent back then, he would have had at least a 60% chance of defeating the black serpent and a 20% chance of killing it. However, how long had it been since then? Had the black serpent already been involved in the top circle? In the face of a contender of this level, beast kings like them could only tremble in fear. However, the black serpent had personally participated in this battle, and was even entrusted with an important task by the ultimate contender, who had blocked the meteor. It was about to attack the spellcaster. After today, if we survive, this black serpent will become the uncrowned king of the periphery of the Hungduan Mountains. Bai Lu dug the ground with his hooves with a faint smile on his face, and said in a deep voice, "King Kong, I don't mean to say this, but you should also take a stand. Are you going to stand on the side of that old and incompetent beast king? Or are you going to stand on the side of the black serpent, who is destined to become a big shot in the Hungduan Mountains?" Hearing this, King Kong suddenly fell silent. Although the territory around the Stoneclaw Forest belonged to Subaru in name, this sacred heart ape obviously did not have the time to take care of such a peripheral territory, so he could only hand it over to the beast kings he trusted. For example, this King Kong was an existence that Subaru had personally supported back then. However, this beast king's temperament was too weak. Previously, when the Green Marsh clan targeted the black serpent, they had arranged for Bloodclaw to go to the Stoneclaw Forest to fight with Lin Yuan. After that, when Mountain Blocking City was destroyed and the beast kings under its command were either dead or injured, this beast king did not take the initiative to ask about it or help them withstand part of the pressure. In the end, what they waited for was still the nearby beast kings annexing the territory around the Stoneclaw Forest, and it was still the other beast kings who sent their own demon beasts to deal with the black serpent. If Bai Lu hadn't seen the beast king not long ago, he would have thought that the beast king who controlled the Stoneclaw Forest and the surrounding areas had died in some unknown corner. Obviously, Bai Lu was extremely disappointed in this beast king in name. "Aren't you thinking too highly of that black serpent?" King Kong reached out and touched his head, freeing himself from the fear. Chapter 259. King Kong shook his head and said with a gloomy face, "To put it bluntly, the black serpent may be stronger than us, but its background in the Hungduan Mountains is far from yours. If you are willing, it's not impossible." "Shut up." Bai Lu opened his mouth and interrupted King Kong's next words. A dignified look flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "I've thought about this before, but you also know that in the Hungduan mountain range, relationships, and background are all things that can be forgotten for demonic beasts. What really determines the status of demonic beasts like us is our strength." Speaking of this, Bai Lu's eyes flashed with a touch of sadness. He smiled bitterly and said, "You know my situation, so I don't want to be unable to change the situation in this area after getting the position with your support. But Black Snake is different. His ambition, courage, and strength are enough for this position. Moreover, Black Snake is more protective of his own people. With him at the top, our lives will be better." King Kong's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. He said softly, "Even if you don't want to go up, why recommend him? I know Black Snake has endless potential and will become a big shot in the Hungduan Mountains in the future. But you also have to remember that Black Snake has offended many powerful existences. Whether he can live until that day is still unknown." Bai Lu was silent for a moment. When he raised his head again, a touch of coldness flashed in his eyes. He said, "I don't care what you think of Black Snake, but this guy is the only one in recent years who can make me look at him with new eyes. After all the things at hand are settled, I will become blood brothers with Black Snake. From now on, anyone who attacks Black Snake will attack me." King Kong's face changed slightly, but he did not say much nonsense. He just reached out and touched his head, squeezing out a bitter smile from his face. "By the way, go and appease the demonic beasts under your command. The battle in Shunning City will be over soon." Get ready to attack the city. Bai Lu's voice sounded, which made King Kong's footsteps pause slightly. A strange look appeared in his eyes again. Organizing the demonic beasts to attack the city at this time? Wasn't this crazy? Now that the demonic beasts were in a state of panic, it would not be easy to gather them together again. If they continued to attack Shunning City, wouldn't the demonic beasts below be driven into a riot? Bai Lu nodded and said expressionlessly, "Aren't you curious as to why I only struggled for a moment before following them over, when I clearly had a better plan in my hands? I just received news from the clan today. They said that the Monster Beast Palace is very dissatisfied with our progress. They plan to send an outstanding commander to lead us to attack the city. Do you know what this means?" King Kong's eyes narrowed as he nodded fiercely. Right now, the various beast kings were commanding their respective demonic beasts. All of them had the intention to protect their own strength. Therefore, many places that could be taken down in one go were being fought with great anxiety on the battlefield. Some places that didn't even need to be fought were being piled up with large numbers of demonic beasts. However, the commander sent by the Monster King Court wouldn't talk to them about preserving their strength. Anyway, the demonic beasts weren't under his command. It didn't matter how many demonic beasts died. As long as they could take down Shunning City, it would be a great achievement for the commander. If they couldn't take down Shunning City before the commander arrived, who knew how much they would have to pay to take down Shunning City? Maybe the whole army would be wiped out here. At the same time, in Shunning City, Fire Kiran's eyes were smiling as he looked at the black snake in front of him. Although he didn't say anything, an invisible pressure pressed down on him like a mountain, as if it wanted to crush the black snake into meat paste. Master Qin sat cross-legged in the center of the purgatory fire. His hands were clasped together, and he was chanting scriptures at an extremely fast speed. "Black snake, don't tell me you don't dare to do it?" Fire Kiran suddenly opened his mouth, and the smile on his face became a little twisted. He said in a deep voice, "If you continue to drag on like this, my spell will be over. Again, if you are willing to submit to me, I can give you shelter and status. When you grow up, you can take on the responsibility by yourself. Isn't that right?" "I've played this trick too many times." Lin Yuan flicked his tongue and sneered. "I'm just choosing a way for you to die. Originally, I wanted to leave you with a whole body, but I cherish my life. If you come back to life one day and stab me in the back, I might not be able to take it." So, as soon as his voice fell, a dense white cold air erupted from Lin Yuan's body, and a huge ice dragon that was hundreds of feet tall appeared in the sky above Lin Yuan's head. After circling for about 2 or 3 times, the ice dragon roared silently for a while and directly charged toward the fire Qilin. In terms of power alone, it was far inferior to the huge meteorite that blotted out the sky and covered the sun. However, this kind of means in the realm of wisdom, this move was definitely at the peak. Both Yan Xingqi and Master Qin were stunned at this moment. Lin Yuan's move almost had the embryonic form of a trump card skill. If it continues to grow, it may become a move like Hegemon Cauldron Lifting Cauldron, Doomsday Meteor, and become the trump card of this black snake. This meant that this black snake would definitely enter the Desolate Demon realm in the future, and it would be in the super first-tier Desolate Demon realm. It was qualified to explore the higher realms. Danger. Yan Xingqi's thoughts were spinning rapidly in his mind. Compared to reputation and morality, he was more concerned about whether the land behind him would be destroyed by the attack of the demonic beasts. Therefore, facing Lin Yuan, the only thought in Yan Xingqi's mind at this moment was whether he should take advantage of the fact that the black snake had not yet grown up to eliminate the danger directly. When the ice dragon roared, Lin Yuan slowly raised his head and looked at Yan Xingqi in the sky. As he opened his mouth, he revealed a mocking smile, as if he saw through Yan Xingqi's thoughts. In fact, that was indeed the case. Thinking about it from another perspective, if Lin Yuan was Yan Xingqi, he would also not want to see a hidden danger grow up. However, Lin Yuan was not an ordinary monster. Whether it was his relationship with Mountain Blocking City, or the Demon Emperor Association that was slowly gathering around him, they were all like heavy bombs. If the details were not handled well, it might directly explode. At that time, no one would have a good life. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not believe that Yan Xingqi would have the guts to attack him. Chapter 260. The ice dragon whizzed down and hit the fire Kirin hard. The fire Kirin was pushed back 7 or 8 steps by the great impact, and a gloomy look flashed in its eyes. After losing its source of energy, the meteorite finally stopped growing. Instead, it condensed into a solid body and slowly fell down. Although it was still difficult to deal with, it was not as difficult as they had expected. It was impossible to get rid of this meteorite. Master Qin, give me a hand. Yan Xingqi's muscles bulged again, and streams of gang qi flowed out of his body. He tried his best to slow down the meteorite's falling speed, but a meteorite of this level was still not something he could deal with alone. When Master Qin moved, the puppet swordsman in front of him moved as well. But strangely, this guy did not seem to notice the existence of the black snake at all. Even though the fire Kirin had been seriously injured by the black snake, the puppet swordsman still stared at Yan Xingqi, refusing to let him get close to the fire Kirin. Master Qin licked his cracked lips, took out a Buddhist commandment blade, and said coldly, "I'm in a hurry. I have no choice. Sorry to offend you." The moment his voice fell, the solemn golden light on Master Qin's face dissipated, and was replaced by a layer of black mist. As the mist surged, it quickly formed the appearance of a Buddha, who was also smiling, but looked a bit weird in the rolling black mist. Master Qin also held a Buddhist commandment blade in his hand, which made the scene even weirder. "Buddha demon killing cut?" Sherdong suddenly exclaimed. Everyone's gazes immediately fell on Sherdong. Every Void Realm and Desolate Demon Realm expert hid their trump cards well. Besides cultivators of the same level, very few people knew what they were truly good at. For someone like Sherdong, who could even call out the name of his opponent's move, it was even rarer. Therefore, when Sherdong's voice fell, Qin looked at Sherdong in surprise. His trump card was indeed called Buddha Demon Killing Cut, but he was not stupid enough to call out the name every time he used it. After all, the Buddha Demon Killing Cut was not inherited from the Freedom Yard, but something he gained from a shady operation when he was traveling in his early years. This saber technique was very compatible with him, so he used it as his trump card. Sherdong did not answer why he called out the name of the Buddha Demon Killing Cut, and Master Qin did not dare to ask. After all, Sherdong was a subordinate of the Black Snake, and the association of the Demon Emperor was in the limelight. Fire Kirin. If he offended the Black Snake and the association of the Demon Emperor, he would lose. The puppet swordsman, who had been evenly matched with Master Qin, was quickly turned into a pile of broken parts, and would under the attack of the Buddha Demon Killing Cut. It no longer looked as majestic as before. After Master Qin confirmed that the puppet swordsman could not be restored, he nodded with satisfaction. With a tap of his foot, he flew out and headed straight for the huge meteorite in the sky. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and came in front of the fire Kirin. There was not a trace of emotion in his multicolored eyes, but there was no light. Obviously, Lin Yuan was thinking about something else. The fire Kirin looked at Lin Yuan, and did not want to struggle anymore. Lin Yuan's ice dragon strike did not hurt it too badly. After all, it was in the Desolate Demon Realm. Even if it was in the Desolate Demon Realm, it was not in existence that a little Wisdom Realm demon beast could provoke. What really hurt it was the backlash from the incomplete Doomsday Meteor. At this moment, the fire Kirin even felt that its internal organs were being torn apart by the backlash. Black Snake. The fire Kirin murmured this name and said with misty eyes, "You're right. We are not the same kind of people. But I wasn't wrong before. We do have a common enemy. Be careful of the ink abyss. It's completely different from what it looks like. Congratulations, host. You have killed a Desolate Demon Realm Level 1 demon beast, the fire Kirin. You have received 200 attribute points. Congratulations, host. You have completed the Bloodline Advancement mission. You have received the Fire Kirin Bloodline X1. 2 consecutive system announcements rang out in his mind. Host's request has been detected. The Fire Kirin Bloodline has been exchanged for the Water Dragon Bloodline. Do you want to advance your bloodline immediately? Host's realm has been detected to be full. Temporary attribute point storage model has been activated. Host, please advance your bloodline as soon as possible to receive the advancement mission. Lin Yuan also opened his attribute panel at the same time and began to study his attributes. Host, Lin Yuan status, Sky-Piercing Black Python Dragon Transformation / Evolvable, Realm, 2020 Speed, 200 Defense, 100 plus 20 Attack, 250 Demon Power, 1120 Assignable Attribute Points, 271 Talents, 1. Identify the enemy's location based on smell, unupgradable, 2. Create an accurate image of a 32,000 meter radius around the body based on smell, upgradable, 6/103. Monarch of Water, your ability to control water has reached a certain level. In front of you, most methods of controlling water flow are so shallow and inferior. As long as you have a thought, you can deprive your opponent of their ability to control water flow at any time. Upgradable, 0/104. Formless Ice, your control of the ice element has reached a preliminary stage. You are no longer the little trash that can only freeze water flow to injure people. Now with your water talent, you can even freeze the moisture in the air and turn your ice into formless. Upgradable, 0/305. Blood Sacrifice Wish Technique. Use your own blood or the blood of other creatures, can be replaced by attribute points, as a sacrifice to make a wish. Whether the wish is fulfilled or not depends on the strength of the wish and the quality of the sacrifice. Unupgradable, 6. Dragon Snake Scale Armor. When the scale armor is in good condition, it can provide the host with a 20% increase in defense. Unupgradable, 6. Pseudo-lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. The ancient holy kings ruled the world because they cultivated to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm. To cultivators, lawful embodiment of heaven and earth is the foundation of their path. After comprehending this skill, you can control the size of your body at will. The smallest size cannot be smaller than the smallest size of your species, and the largest size cannot exceed your original size. Upgradable, 0/100 Martial Arts. Rank 2 Golden Body Technique, 91 out of 102. Tyrannical Song of the World. Unupgradable Skills 1. Void's Embrace, 130/502. Poison of Poison Wine, 225/303. Bramble Whip, 121/304. Blood Boil Technique, 9 out of 105. All things have spirit, can be used to communicate with other creatures. Unupgradable. Chapter 261. The last doomsday meteor was so powerful that even Yan Xingqi and Master Qian together could not withstand it. The two of them were forced down again and again. Although the doomsday meteor had lost a lot of energy in the process, it still landed firmly on the Guardian Formation of Shunning City. Boom. With the huge impact of the doomsday meteor, the Guardian Formation instantly surged. The originally bright golden light shield dimmed, leaving only a thin layer of milky white light curtain. The remaining energy of the doomsday meteor had finally been exhausted. This scene made Yan Xingqi and Master Qian heave a sigh of relief. At least the fire Qilin did not destroy Mountain Blocking City. However, what happened next made their smiles instantly freeze on their faces. The Guardian Formation had been weakened to the extreme, and the active demonic beasts outside no longer loitered around. They let out hysterical roars and rushed toward the direction of Shunning City. Pairs of bloodshot eyes lit up, as if they had been hungry for several years. Even Yan Xingqi, who had been dealing with the demonic beasts of the Hengduan Mountains for many years, could not help but feel the corners of his mouth dry and the saliva in his mouth bitter under the gaze of so many pairs of eyes below. You too, shouldn't you have left already? Lin Yuan looked at the two people who slowly landed on the ground, and asked with a mocking expression. The Wild Demon Realm and the Kongming Realm had their own battlefields. However, outside these battlefields, the existences of these two realms were not allowed to casually make a move. If they did, it would be regarded as breaking the rules. When the two sides fought, the northern border defense line of the Xinwu dynasty would collapse instantly. If Lin Yuan had other identities, it would be fine. However, he was one of the beast kings of the Hengduan Mountains. Moreover, he appeared here when both sides were at war. If Yan Xingqi and Master Qiwen dared to break the rules and make a move on Lin Yuan, it would be tantamount to shedding all pretense of cordiality and forcing the existences of the wild demon realm in the Hengduan Mountains to attack the Shenwu dynasty. Without a doubt, it would be a severe blow to the unstable Shenwu dynasty. Yan Xingqi just gave Black Snake a meaningful look and then left without saying a word. He wanted to protect this land, but at this juncture, when a large number of demonic beasts were attacking, it was best for him to remain indifferent. Even though he knew very well that without a strong foreign aid, it would be difficult for Shunning City to get through today's hurdle. Master Qiwen's temper was not as good as Black Snake's. In his opinion, with the death of Fire Kirin, he had been listed on the list of enemies of the organization behind the Fire Kirin. If not for Black Snake's interference, he would have returned to the Freedom Courtyard and continued to be revered Master Shir. Everyone had different thoughts when they had great power. Some people wanted to conquer the world, while others wanted to protect the world. However, such people were the minority after all. Most people would be like Master Qiwen, who only wanted to gain more benefits for themselves or their loved ones. Any stumbling block in front of them would be ruthlessly crushed. Of course, this was not to say that Master Qiwen was vulgar. To be able to stand out among countless people and reach this level, there were not many people who were easy to deal with. It was just that in this long period of time, after climbing to the so-called peak, they could no longer find the path to continue moving forward, so they gave up on continuing to climb. However, some people never gave up and continued to move forward. For example, Kirin, the beast master of the Hengduan Mountains, carried a heavy burden and moved forward on the endless road of the wild demon territory. No one knew how far he had walked, and no one knew when he would break through to the Demon King realm and become an existence that could shake the Tianwu continent with a stomp of his feet. Black Snake, you are very good. We will have a chance to meet again in the future. Master Qiwen clasped his hands together and chanted a Buddhist chant that Lin Yuan had never heard of. Then he turned and left the place. However, as long as one was not an idiot, they could tell that Master Qiwen had said those words while gritting his teeth. Although he did not dare to attack Lin Yuan now, in his heart, he had already sentenced Lin Yuan to death. After Yan Xingqi and Master Qiwen, the two Void Realm experts left. The nervousness on the faces of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor slightly subsided. Pairs of fervent eyes immediately looked at Lin Yuan. That was the Void Realm. Just a slight release of his aura was enough to suppress them to the point that they did not even dare to speak. This Demon Emperor could directly confront these two supreme-level powerhouses of the northern region. And from the beginning to the end, Lin Yuan did not even have a flicker in his eyes. Although he was not arrogant, he at least put himself on an equal footing with Yan Xingqi and Yan Xingqi when communicating. Sir Demon Emperor, now we. Sherdong adjusted the grimace mask on his face and asked. There was a large number of demon beasts outside attacking the city. Things had already come to this point. Now whether to fight or retreat, was it not up to Lin Yuan? Phew. Lin Yuan let out a long breath. His heterochromatic eyes squinted slightly, and he said indifferently, organize the manpower. Help the Shenwu dynasty resist the first wave of the demon beast horde. Shunning City was the last line of defense in the northern frontier of the Shenwu dynasty. It could not be lost, and it could not be lost at this time. The power behind the Fire Kirin had actually gone in the wrong direction from the beginning. It was not difficult to take over the Hengduan mountain range, as long as you were outstanding enough. No matter how dissatisfied the Beast King Kirin was, it had already passed its growth period, and was now a mature demon beast. Soon it would enter the aging period. If it could find a suitable successor, it would naturally spare no effort to nurture that person. However, the Fire Kirin had been on the path of conquering with force from the beginning. It was as if it did not put the Fire Kirin in its eyes. Naturally, it would end in failure. After all, if it was just an independent power, and including the hidden powers, except for the mysterious Dragon Palace of the Four Seas, there was no other power that was stronger than the Hengduan mountain range in the Tianwu continent. Shunning City could be lost, but it could not be now, and it could not fall into the hands of others. This was Lin Yuan's target. It was also the first place that he had entered the sights of the Beast King Kirin. There was no room for any mistakes. A cold light flashed in Lin Yuan's eyes, and he quickly flicked his tongue. The members of the Demon Emperor's Association in front of him adjusted the grimace masks on their faces again, and marched toward Shunning City in a uniform pace. Although they hated the Shenwu dynasty, they were still humans in essence. Most of them even had their hometown and friends in the northern frontier. Let a group of demon beasts that only knew how to kill to break through? What a joke! Chapter 262. 3 days later. Poochie, Poochie. The sound of a sharp weapon piercing into a body resounded. King Kong, who had wrapped his right arm with leaves and herbs, slightly narrowed his eyes as he looked at a group of humans and demon beasts fighting each other hundreds of meters in front of him. His eyes were faintly discernible with a fierce look. The attack on Shunning City was obviously not as simple as they had imagined. After all, this was the last line of defense for the humans. Among the 6 border cities in front of them, except for the mountain-blocking city that was still under construction, the other cities basically only left a small number of people desperately trying to buy time for the main forces to retreat. It was not a battle at all. But when they arrived at Shunning City, the ferocious aura of these humans had even made the demon beasts feel a little bit scared. One by one, unknown, immature, or weathered faces fell under the claws and teeth of the demon beast tide. But the humans behind them were still dauntlessly advancing wave after wave, as if the demon beasts in front of them were not trying to take their lives, but some great benefits. Even a powerful beast king like King Kong was almost overturned under the crazy counterattack of the humans. If it were not for Bai Lu lifting him up, it would not only be his shoulder that was injured at this moment. It was estimated that the knife that was desperately slashed out by that human would have at least sunk into his neck. Under such an injury, King Kong really did not think that there was any possibility of him surviving. A creature with a fox head but a body similar to that of a human slowly walked up from behind. His pair of amber eyes fell on King Kong, obviously revealing a bit of contempt. He said in a deep voice, "King Kong, have your injuries been bandaged? Now immediately, go to the front line for me." King Kong's eyes were wide open. 80% of his combat strength came from his hands. Now that he had lost one of his hands, if he were to enter the front line of the meat grinder again, what was the difference between that and sending himself to death? Although he already knew that the warlord sent by the Monster King Court wouldn't treat their lives as their own, such an obvious act of targeting still made King Kong unable to control his temper. This was because there were beast kings resting in the camp. Most of the beast kings were not as severely injured as he was. There were even beast kings that hid behind to rest after suffering minor injuries. The reason the overseer targeted it was because when the overseer had just arrived at the Hengduan Mountains yesterday, he had bluntly asked them for the Fei. His words were very explicit. If they were not willing to give him the Fei, he and his subordinates would be heavily taken care of in the upcoming battle. The Vulpera snorted disdainfully at the indignant King Kong. It was very clear that no matter how irascible Kong Kim was, he wouldn't attack it. After all, although the rules of the Hengduan mountain range weren't as strict and complicated as the humans, every rule was an unquestionable existence. It was the military commander sent by the Monster King Court to supervise the battle. If it was killed by one of its subordinates, the entire Monster King Court would be furious. Therefore, its arrogance was justified. It really didn't put these beasts in its eyes. As if to show its authority, the Vulpera glanced at Bai Lu and said in a deep voice, "And you? How many times have I told you before? Hurry up and urge those hesitant and fearful fellows at the back to gather. Do you take my words for granted?" The hesitant and fearful existences were the Stoneclaw Forest ruled by the Black Snake. Under the Black Snake's rule, the Stoneclaw Forest was probably the only force that didn't give face to the Monster King Court. No matter what order the Monster King Court gave, as long as the Stoneclaw Forest didn't want to participate, they could use the inferno beasts that ran rampant in the Scarlet Flame Swamp. Towards this kind of shameless behavior, the Monster King Court couldn't come up with a good solution. After all, it was true that the Stoneclaw Forest's beasts were disobedient, but it was also true that the inferno beasts were confined in the Stoneclaw Forest. Is this the military commander of the Monster King court? Fighting a war means putting all your men on the line. If you win, you win. If you lose, you become trash. Is that right? A hoarse voice sounded from outside the tent. The Volpara's expression changed. His eyes instantly became fierce. He said in a cold voice, "Who is it? Come out." As soon as he finished speaking, a black snake with faint golden scales slithered its body toward the Volpara. In an instant, the atmosphere in the tent froze. Others might not know who this black snake was, but how could the monster kings around the Stoneclaw forest not know who this black snake was? The black serpent and the fire Kylan were no longer a secret among the beast kings near Shunning City. In addition, the strength of the black serpent was already above all the other demonic beasts. With the Stoneclaw forest as the center, there were not many demonic beasts that dared to go against the will of the black serpent. "I'll ask you one last time. Who are you?" The Volpara's face flashed with anger. Ever since the Monster King court appointed military commanders, there had never been a case where the local monster kings didn't put the military commanders in their eyes. However, this scene really happened to this black snake. This mission wasn't difficult. The Monster King court didn't even try to attack the Shimwu dynasty's territory. After all, this time, the Shimwu dynasty had offended someone they shouldn't have offended. Therefore, the Monster King court had a good reason to attack the humans' territory. Therefore, it was already a great success for the Monster King court to rush some border cities. 6 of the 7 border cities were destroyed. Although it had nothing to do with the military commander, it still completed the mission perfectly. If it could also take down Shunning City, it would have completed the mission. After that, it would receive a great reward. In addition, in a mission that didn't require it to do anything, it could also obtain enough benefits for itself. This time, it targeted Kong Kim not only for the phase, but also to establish its prestige. As long as Kong Kim died on the battlefield, any monster king that didn't want to be targeted by it would have to obediently send it a large amount of phase. It would be enough for it to make a lot of money before it returned to the Monster King court. Lin Yuan glanced at the Volpara, and a hint of disdain flashed in his eyes. He stretched his body and said to Bai Lu, "I want all the details of your battle during this period. You organize it and send it to me." Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes turned and landed on the monster kings that were slightly injured. He said coldly, "What are you doing here? Don't you know the situation at the front line is urgent? Maybe I should think about it later. Are you still suitable for the position of Monster King?" Chapter 263. As soon as Lin Yuan's voice fell, the entire area was silent. His cold eyes swept across the area, and almost no demon beast dared to look at him in the eye. Compared to the other demon beasts who were afraid of the black snake, the Volpara was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He growled, "How dare you? I am the military governor appointed by the Monster King court. Who do you think you are? You dare to give orders without me? Do you still have the Monster King court in your eyes?" When the black snake appeared, he felt that his authority was being challenged. If he couldn't take care of the black snake, he would never be able to raise his head and do anything in the future. Therefore, he was so angry that he didn't even bother to find out why the other demon beasts were so afraid of the black snake. He directly went up to the black snake. In his opinion, he had the Monster King court behind him. No matter how powerful the black snake was, it wouldn't be able to touch him at all. "You, take it down." The Volpara pointed at the black snake. His body was still trembling slightly. It wasn't fear, but pure anger. The surrounding demon beasts looked at each other. No one paid any attention to the Volpara. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. They were afraid that they would offend the black snake. At this time, if the black snake was a little unhappy, it could start a massacre. The things that the black snake had done in the past were enough to prove this point. After all, this new generation of legendary demon beast king did not have a good temper. If anyone crossed the black snake's bottom line, they could only wait for the black snake to retaliate 10 times or 100 times more. "What are you waiting for? Go." The Volpara was so angry that his heart was hurting. He really couldn't think of anyone in the outer area of the Hungduan Mountains that had such a big influence. Even the white deer from the Nine-Colored Deer clan, who had the support of the Traman clan, had to follow his orders obediently because of the Monster King court, let alone the other demon beasts who didn't have any background. The military governor was very brave. In the war against Shunning City, he took the lead. In the end, he was killed by a round of cannon fire from the despicable humans. Not even his bones were left. Lin Yuan's voice slowly sounded. It was like a touch of coldness from the depths of hell, embellishing the fox person's heart. Immediately, the fox person felt a trace of fear. At the same time as Lin Yuan's voice fell, all the demonic beasts in the wounded battalion commander stood up and surrounded the Vulpera with cold faces. Pairs of eyes full of ruthlessness and indifference fell, forming a sharp contrast with the fervent and reverent eyes when the Vulpera had just arrived outside Shunning City. Bai Lu and King Kong followed Lin Yuan and walked a few hundred meters away from the camp where the wounded were placed before they stopped. "How is the battle going?" Lin Yuan glanced at King Kong and took the initiative to ask. He still remembered that King Kong's innate ability was to strengthen his body. It was difficult for ordinary swords to hurt him. Although he didn't have the special effect of the Golden Body secret art, in terms of defensive power, he was not inferior to the Golden Body secret art. So even King Kong was injured like this, which was really something that Lin Yuan didn't expect. King Kong looked at the battlefield outside the camp and said in a deep voice, "You also saw it. Although the individual combat ability of these humans is not as good as us demon beasts, their determination to protect their homeland is right here. 100 humans may not be able to withstand a round of attack from the demon beasts, but before the demon beasts tear these 100 humans apart, they will not retreat even half a step." Speaking until here, King Kong shook his head and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. The humans' behavior was not only to defend to the death, but also to play with all kinds of tricks. For example, the battle at the front lines was still ongoing, but the human side still dared to send out troops to attack the camp where the demonic beasts were taking care of the injured. As for those who attacked the demonic beast palace's food supply team, there were even more of them. In the beginning of the plan of the demon beasts, the human side was able to rely on Shunning City to defend the front line, which was all they could do. But when the war really started, they suddenly realized that things didn't seem to be so. The human side's regular army was defending the city wall of Shunning City to the death. Under the situation where there was no protection array, they could firmly restrict the demon beasts on the city wall and prevent them from advancing an inch. Even if the number of lives lost by both sides was astronomical, the demon beasts couldn't afford to delay. All kinds of mercenaries and demon slayers went out at night every day, crazily attacking the demon beasts that were alone. Although the other 6 dynasties stood on the opposite side of the Shinwu dynasty, their attitude towards the demon beasts was the same. They didn't want to see the demon beasts become stronger again. Therefore, although they were indifferent to this matter on the surface, in private, all kinds of demon slayers and mercenaries went to the Hengduan mountain range more and more frequently. Those demon kings who didn't participate in the crusade against the Shinwu dynasty had already reported this matter to the demon beast palace more than once. Compared to the Shinwu dynasty, which was fighting on all sides, the demon beast palace was fighting on all 7 fronts. Bai Lu gave a general introduction of the situation, and his face showed a dignified expression. He said in a deep voice, "We can't afford to delay more than the human side. So the Demon Beast Palace has urged us more than once to start the final battle quickly, and strive to take down Shunning City and the nearby cities in one breath. In short, they want us to end the battle quickly." End the battle quickly. Lin Yuan's eyes showed a hint of contemplation. He couldn't figure out what the Demon Beast Palace wanted to do. After all, in his opinion, the Demon Beast Palace could be said to have profited greatly from this battle. However, there was always a bottom line. Once they broke through Shunning City, the Shinwu dynasty wouldn't be so passive towards the northern frontier anymore. At that time, all kinds of actions against the Demon Beast Palace would be more blatant, and it wouldn't be impossible for them to send their army into the Hengduan mountain range. With the Demon King Kirin scheming, there was no way he didn't think of this step, right? Could it be? Lin Yuan slowly murmured. Bai Lu, who noticed Lin Yuan's abnormality, was slightly startled. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had thought of something. Bai Lu couldn't help but lower his voice and ask, "What do you mean?" "Looks like this time, the Xinwu dynasty is planning to die and not bow down. I guess there might be some kind of treasure in the Xinwu dynasty's territory that has awakened, so that force came to ask for it. However, the Xinwu dynasty wasn't willing to hand it over, so the conflict between the two sides broke out. According to the current situation, the Xinwu dynasty's destruction is just a matter of time. There are only two possibilities for them to be stubborn like this. Either that treasure is about to mature, so the Xinwu dynasty plans to guard it to the death and use it as soon as it matures, completely cutting off the other party's thoughts. Or, Lin Yuan's eyes became more and more serious. Chapter 264. Either the treasure has a limited time to ripen, and if we can't harvest it within that time, no one will be able to obtain it. Based on the current situation, this possibility is very high. After all, to be able to force the top powers to shed all pretense of cordiality and break the power structure of the Tianwu continent, this treasure must be extremely terrifying. If the Xinwu dynasty obtains this treasure, it might be possible for them to surpass the other party. Therefore, in the first case, the other party still has to consider the retaliation from the Xinwu dynasty in the future, so they won't give the Xinwu dynasty any chance of survival. However, if no one can obtain this treasure, the other party won't continue to pay such a huge price to wage an all-out war with the Xinwu dynasty. Although it will make the Xinwu dynasty suffer for a period of time, this matter can be considered to be over. Lin Yuan's voice slowly sounded out, and the seriousness in his eyes became more and more intense. Right now, the Monster Beast Palace was urging them to end the battle quickly. Could it be that they planned to use these external monster beasts to attract the Xinwu dynasty's troops to guard the treasure? Once the other party's troops were transferred, they would launch a strong attack and directly seize the treasure? The possibility of this method succeeding was very high, but to the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range, it wasn't very good. The Xinwu dynasty had paid such a huge price, and if the treasure was still taken away in the end, how crazy would Lei Qiusheng, who would rather everyone not get anything than lower his head and admit defeat, become? He probably wouldn't even wait for the Xinwu dynasty to recover, and would immediately take revenge on the powers that had targeted them. After the Xinwu dynasty suffered a heavy blow, they wouldn't be able to take revenge on the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range. Wouldn't it be easy for them to take revenge on the external monster beasts? After thinking through the crux of the matter, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that his entire body was in a bad state. He seemed to have been inexplicably abandoned by the other party. However, Lin Yuan was also very curious. What kind of conditions did the other party offer to actually make the Beast King Kirin, who had always been protective of his own people, give up on the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range? And aren't we abandoned? Bai Lu's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. Initially, the white deer did not think of this. After all, the Beast Lord Kirin was famous for being protective of his own people. Although he was suspicious of the Monster King's constant urging for them to fight, he did not think too much about it. However, now that the Black Serpent had laid out the logic of the situation, even if the white deer did not want to believe it, it had to admit that it was the truth. Lin Yuan's eyes paused for a moment in the direction of Shunning City, and a smile appeared on his face. If the Xinwu dynasty really acted as the higher-ups expected, then the outer demon beasts would naturally be crazily retaliated by the Xinwu dynasty. However, what if the higher-ups' wishful thinking fell through? The Xinwu dynasty was not a mad dog that would bite anyone it saw. Tomorrow, we will start the final battle. Gather all the demon beasts that can fight and attack Shunning City. If I don't give the order to retreat, no one is allowed to step back. Do you understand? Lin Yuan's eyes rested on the faces of Bai Lu and King Kong. The two beast kings who had cooperated with Lin Yuan before nodded tacitly. After all, this black serpent, who was much more cunning than humans, dared to say so, which meant that it already had a plan in mind. At this time, they only needed to cooperate with the black serpent, and the rest would be up to the black serpent's arrangement. At the same time, in Shunning City, The 7 city lords of the border cities gathered together. The city lord of Shunning City narrowed his eyes slightly and looked around at all the city lords in the meeting room and said in a deep voice, "Other than the newcomer Little Lay, everyone is old friends. No matter how we get along on normal days, but at this time, we are the closest of comrades, so I will be frank with you." At this point, the city lord of Shunning City paused for a moment, and when everyone's attention was focused on him, he nodded with satisfaction and said in a clear voice, "This morning, I have met with the emissary sent by the imperial capital. He said that the demon beasts may launch a general attack on us at any time, but the imperial capital has no extra manpower and resources to support us. So we can only rely on ourselves for the upcoming battle. If anyone has any good countermeasures, feel free to speak up." One of the city lords put his hands behind his head and said with a smile, "I am very curious. The imperial capital usually does not pay attention to our northern frontier. How is it that they are better informed than us? We don't even know when the demon beasts will launch a general attack, but the imperial capital knows? Is there someone playing some conspiracy behind our backs?" When he said this, the city lord's gaze fell on Lei Fan's face. Everyone knew the purpose of Lei Fan coming to the northern frontier. People like them who stayed near the Hungduan Mountains all year round had an unresolvable hatred with the demon beasts. So for people like Lei Fan who was friendly with the demon beasts, they all had resentment in their hearts. It's that thing. It's about to mature. The city lord of Shunning City sighed and said, "Those people can't wait any longer, but the war is very anxious. Only our side and the demon beasts have not gone all out, and both sides are still testing each other. So the people over there, I guess they want to let the demon beasts break through our Shunning City, and then drive straight in, attracting the last forces of the imperial capital to quell the chaos." When his voice fell, the whole meeting room was silent, and almost everyone's gaze fell on the city lord of Shunning City. "Gentlemen, our victory or defeat will not only determine the direction of this war, but also whether the Shinwu dynasty will rise or fall. I don't ask everyone to fight to the death in their posts, but I hope that everyone can clear their minds. We are all old officials of the Shinwu dynasty, and if the Shinwu dynasty falls, none of us will have a good time." When he said this, the city lord of Shunning City stood up from his seat and bowed to the front. "Please." Lei Fan crossed his arms in front of his chest, squinted his eyes and said, "The demon beasts have been suffering losses in our hands, but when the demon beasts really get angry, other than hiding, there is nothing we can do. Personally, I think it's better to stop all the hunting activities for the demon beasts, and rely on the protection of Shunning City to stall for time with the demon beasts." "I don't agree." A city lord with the face of a thunder god stood up angrily and glared at Lei Fan as he said, "Little brat, do you know how many men we have lost in the battle with the demonic beasts, and how many resources we have exhausted? You want us to stall for time with the demon beasts? Do you really think we can afford to fight? If we don't fight now, are we waiting for the demon beasts to come in and slaughter us when we are too hungry to fight with them?" Chapter 265. City Lord Lei Gong was born in the military, and had performed very well in all the operations against the Hungduan Mountains. He was also the only one among the 7 who had climbed from the commander of the garrison legion to the position of city lord. Therefore his character had always been radical. Lei Fan's eyes turned slightly and stopped at city lord Lei Gong for a moment. Then he said indifferently, "Senior Huang, the best way to deal with it now is to rely on the defense of Shunning City. Once we leave Shunning City, all the advantages we have will be gone. I have calculated before that in all the battles between the garrison legion of the northern frontier city and the demonic beasts, the casualty rate is about 1/10. This time, the beast tide has mobilized all the demonic beasts in the periphery. The number of demonic beasts is not something we can compare with. If we give up our advantage in positional warfare, and use our weakness to fight the demonic beasts, I am afraid the only outcome is death, and it will be faster than positional warfare." Speaking of this, Lei Fan spread his hands on the table and said in a deep voice, "I am against taking the initiative to attack the demonic beasts. We must gather all the forces we have to besiege Shunning City. 3 days, at most 3 days, and the imperial capital will be able to send reinforcements to us. The city lord of Shunning City was moved, but he frowned and said, "Our resources are indeed not enough to support such a large-scale army. If we gather all our men, we will not be able to hold on for 3 days. And I am afraid the demonic beasts are also aware of this. If they just surround us and don't attack." As his voice fell, the atmosphere in the meeting room suddenly became heavy. "I have resources. And I am sure that the demonic beasts will launch a general attack soon." The corner of Lei Fan's mouth rose slightly. His eyes swept across everyone's face and said, "Even if the demonic beasts don't attack, the resources in my hands can at least support you for half a month. Even if the demonic beasts don't attack, the reinforcements from the imperial capital will arrive in half a month." "You have resources? Where did you get them?" Another city lord opened his mouth. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "Everyone is trapped in Shunning City. Where did you get your resources? Don't tell me you've moved everything from Mountain Blocking City here." Lei Fan didn't reply, but clapped his hands lightly. Immediately, a devil-masked man with a black cloak slowly appeared from the shadows behind Lei Fan, and said indifferently, "Other than military weapons and equipment, the Association of the Demon Emperor can provide all the resources that you want." The pupils of the other 6 city lords suddenly shrank. From the way the other party appeared, it didn't seem like they had just arrived. They had probably been lurking in this meeting room for quite some time. Not only had they heard the contents of their conversation, but if they had the intention to kill, they could at least take 1 or 2 of them with them. Thinking of this, the other 6 city lords' backs were covered in a layer of cold sweat. The city lord of Shunning City calmed himself down and reached out to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. He said in a deep voice, "Who doesn't know that the Demon Emperor has connections with the demonic beasts? I heard that the demonic beasts in the Hungduan Mountains are behind you. Now that the demonic beasts and humans are about to fight, the Association of the Demon Emperor has come to deliver resources to us. Who knows what kind of intentions you have?" The devil-masked man laughed and replied, "Your concern is indeed correct. But the fact is, if it weren't for the Demon Emperor's secret activities, Shunning City would have fallen into the enemy's hands. Since you don't believe me, then just pretend I didn't say anything. Goodbye." "Wait." The city lord suddenly stopped the devil-masked man and said in a deep voice, "If there is no problem with the resources sent by the Association of the Demon Emperor, we are willing to buy them at a premium of 20%. Although the demonic beasts are behind you, you and I are both humans. I believe you and won't let you take the risk and suffer a loss again." As a military man, he still maintained his strategic qualities, so when the other city lords were still suspecting that there was a problem with the resources, he noticed another factor. The demonic beasts behind the Association of the Demon Emperor did not want the demonic beasts to win. In addition, he was not only willing to believe in the Association of the Demon Emperor, but he also hoped to maintain this cooperative relationship. After all, there were indeed many traitors among the humans. As long as they could get better resources, they would betray anything except themselves. But to find a traitor among the demonic beasts was too difficult. Even if the demonic beasts were not loyal to the Fire Kirin, they still hated the humans. "What do you think?" The devil-masked man paused for a moment, and his eyes fell on the other 6 city lords. Lei Fan shrugged his shoulders and crossed his arms in front of his chest. The other 5 city lords were deep in thought, and in the end the city lord of Shunning City made the final decision and said, "This is what we mean, and we hope that we can work together happily. As long as there is no problem with the resources sent by the Association of the Demon Emperor, we will definitely not let you suffer a loss in terms of price. Happy cooperation." The devil-masked man clearly had no intention of chatting with the city lords. He only pressed down on the mask on his face, turned around, and blended into the shadows again. The eyes under the mask sharpened, and a cold glint flashed in them. Not to mention the busy humans at the moment, let's talk about Lin Yuan's side. In the past 3 days, due to the Foxman warlord's outstanding command, Lin Yuan's plan had been declared a complete failure. Not only did it not further reduce the humans' living space, But it also made the humans feel a sense of crisis. They even directly abandoned the camp and joined forces with the defenders of Shunning City. Otherwise, how could the defenders of Shunning City resist the endless beast tide? In Lin Yuan's opinion, the most terrifying thing was that the Foxman warlord didn't have the slightest idea about the human army that was exposed in the wilderness. For the past 2 days, it had been arranging for the demon beasts to launch an attack on Shunning City. This behavior was tantamount to giving up its strengths and using its weaknesses to compete with the human army. If not for the fact that the Foxman warlord was personally appointed by the demon emperor, and was the only son of a certain subhuman elder who had served the Hungduan Mountains for many years, Lin Yuan would have thought that the Foxman warlord actually had a double identity like himself, and was deliberately sending monsters to their deaths. Black Snake, the monsters below are ready. King Kong's roar awakened Lin Yuan from his contemplation. Lin Yuan was silent for a moment. His heterochromatic eyes lit up again, and he said in a deep voice, "Let's go." Lin Yuan took the lead, and the group of beast kings followed closely behind. Behind them were the monsters on the outskirts of the Hungduan Mountains. The majestic group of monsters strode toward Shunning City. Their eyes were filled with ruthlessness, and when they looked in the direction of Shunning City, they became extremely cold. Chapter 266. 2 hours later. The Shifter Emperors Association had temporarily set up various strongholds in Shunning City to transport batches of goods and materials. The scribes of the city lord's mansion of Shunning City were calculating and estimating the goods. After both sides had completed the handover, the members of the Association of the Shifter Emperor slowly began to evacuate from the south gate of Shunning City. That was the passage that Lin Yuan had reserved for the members of the Association of the Shifter Emperor. As long as they left Shunning City within the time limit, they would not be blocked by the demonic beasts. Just in case, Lin Yuan had specially assigned by Lu and Jin Gang to be in charge of this area. Even if the other beast kings had other ideas, they would not be able to find a reason to interfere. The city lord of Shunning City crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at the Shifter Emperors Association of the Shifter Emperor with burning eyes. The goods that the Association of the Shifter Emperor sold to them were far beyond their imagination. It was almost enough to sustain everyone in Shunning City for a month. If they were frugal, this period could be extended for another 5 to 8 days. It could be said that with such a batch of goods in hand, as long as they did not seek death, the demonic beasts would not be able to force them to the brink of death. Lei Fan took the opportunity to walk to the side of the city lord of Shunning City and asked, "What are you thinking about?" The city lord of Shunning City almost had the words "something on his mind" written on his face. To Lei Fan, this was no doubt the best opportunity to get closer to the real ruler of the northern frontier. Naturally, he would not let go of this opportunity. This existence that calls itself the Shifter Emperor is a very troublesome fellow. I have been thinking about this for a while. Is cooperating with it to get what we need, or to drink poison to quench our thirst? The city lord of Shunning City sighed and squinted his eyes as he said, "Now, the Black Snake is most likely the Shifter Emperor, but I feel that such a powerful existence would not show itself so casually. Rather than saying that the Black Snake is the Shifter Emperor, it would be better to say that the real Shifter Emperor has been standing behind the Black Snake all this time, at a place that we cannot see, watching our every move." The words of the city lord of Shunning City immediately gave Lei Fan goosebumps. This question was also something that he had been thinking about recently. Was cooperating with the Black Snake a win-win situation? Or was he drinking poison to quench his thirst? Lei Fan knew about many demonic beasts, but it was his first time seeing an existence like the Black Serpent. In the Hungduan Mountains, it could be said that the Black Serpent was vicious and merciless. It could even be said that the Black Serpent was like a warmonger, constantly clashing with other demonic beasts and absorbing nutrients from the war to become stronger. However, under such circumstances, the Black Serpent was able to perfectly fulfill its role as the king of beasts. After going through so many wars, the Stoneclaw Forest did not show any signs of weakening. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. Its territory grew bigger and bigger, and the number of demonic beasts increased. Back then, he came to the northern frontier full of ambition, intending to use the black snake as a springboard to return to the Hungduan mountain range to hunt. But now, he had fallen to the point where he had to rebuild Mountain Blocking City. Because of the sudden war, he did not even have the chance to rebuild Mountain Blocking City, and was directly chased away by the demon beasts to Shunning City to survive. However, he was happy to cooperate with the Black Snake. This contradictory feeling made Lei Fan's hair stand on end, and his face began to become cloudy and uncertain. This Black Snake seemed to be King poisonous. Dang 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 dang. A series of urgent alarms suddenly rang out. Lei Fan and the City Lord of Shunning City raised their heads at the same time, and said with a face full of horror, "Has it begun? Isn't this association of demon emperors a little too extreme?" Originally, they thought that the members of the Association of Demon Emperors would leave before the demon beasts began to attack Shunning City. But who would have thought that not long after the members of the Association of Demon Emperors left Shunning City, the demon beasts would directly attack. Although Shunning City was a city with only 2 city walls, in theory, as long as one left from the southern city gate, it would be safe. If one went deeper, it would be the territory of humans. Although all the garrisons in the surrounding areas had been transferred to Shunning City, there were still forces like the Mercenary Union, Demon Slayer Union, Merchant Union, and so on. If ordinary demon beasts went there, they would definitely not be able to get away. But even if the demon beasts did not go deep, it did not mean that they would leave a way out for the humans. The flying demon beasts could directly cross over Shunning City to the wilderness in the south to surround and kill the escaping humans. Before the war was completely over, any escapees would be regarded as a hunting target. The reason why the Association of Demon Emperors was said to be extreme was because if they were a little slower, the Association of Demon Emperors would have left the city 3 minutes later and become a live target for the flying demon beasts. But now it was different. The Association of Demon Emperors had left at the right time. After the firepower on the city walls was attracted, when the flying demon beasts crossed over Shunning City, it was estimated that the cavalry of the Association of Demon Emperors would already be out of the flying demon beasts' attack range. This sort of timing was just too ingenious, and it even made Lei Fan and the others think that the Demon Emperor would send them resources without any prior discussion with the demonic beasts, and it was completely a spontaneous action by them as humans. In an instant, many people's attitudes towards the Demon Emperor's conference changed quite a bit. "Let's fight first." City Lord Lei Gong walked towards the city walls with a solemn face and said in a clear voice, "These demon beasts are like cockroaches, dauntlessly rushing in front of you. If you can't kill them all in one breath, then the number of demon beasts gathering will increase, and the speed of them gathering will also increase." Although the demon beasts did not like to bully the weak and fear the strong, but it was a biological instinct to avoid danger. If the first wave of attack of the demon beasts was defeated in an instant, then the demon beasts behind would have to think twice before rushing forward. If they wanted to have a chance to breathe, they had to directly kill the demon beasts. It was best to disperse them in one round. Otherwise, once they were held back by the demon beasts, not only would the humans' physical strength be unable to keep up with the demon beasts, even their numbers would be reduced. So once the 2 sides fought a tug of war, it was only a matter of time before the city walls fell. Although the humans were better at fighting in the streets, if they lost the first line of defense in the first round, even if they could ignore the problem of morale, there would be a buffer zone between the 2 sides. There would not even be a place for the soldiers to rest. Even if they were to hide in the houses, they would have to guard against the demon beasts charging in at any time. Arrange for the evacuation of the civilians. Organize people to forcefully demolish the houses. Move the separated building materials to the city walls to supplement the temporary defense equipment. The city lord residents of Shunning City had experienced many similar incidents, so the speed of giving out orders was very fast. At the same time, he was also walking towards the city walls. No matter what, as the city lord, he was personally going to the front line, which was a great boost to the morale of the soldiers. Chapter 267. Flying Demonic Beasts. A commoner who was passing by was suddenly grabbed by a green-feathered eagle and torn to shreds. Blood rained down like rain. Witnessing this scene with his own eyes, Lei Fan's face was filled with shock, and even showed signs of being in a trance. This was the first time he had seen such a tragic scene. Even in the war with the other dynasties, as long as they hid within the city and the soldiers did not give up on resisting, the commoners were absolutely safe. But at this moment, the scene that Lei Fan saw had completely overturned his understanding of the world. The battle at the front lines had not even begun, and a fresh life had been lost right in front of his eyes. In the time that Lei Fan was in a trance, the flying demonic beasts swooped down one after another, reaping hundreds of lives in an instant. Not only did these feathered beasts not leave, they even circled above the heads of the crowd, making squawking squawk 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 sounds, as if they were mocking the stupidity of these humans. After a short moment of trance, Lei Fan let out a low growl, the true chi in his body rumbling like thunder. He threw out the war saber in his hand, and a large yellow bird that had just swooped down was split into two by the war saber. Immediately, under the control of true chi, the war saber spun and flew back into Lei Fan's hand. The moment he touched the blood of the demonic beasts on the hilt of the saber, Lei Fan could even feel the warmth of the blood. Get a few men here. Follow me to kill these flying demonic beasts. Qilin, get Zhongxing to bring some men to occupy the high ground within the city and kill these feathered beasts. Lei Fan's voice was loud and clear. A pair of sharp eyes fell upon the bodies of the flying demonic beasts in the sky, his bloodshot eyes filled with hatred. Adjutant Zhang nodded his head heavily and brought 2 guards with him as he ran towards the direction of the army camp. At the same time, outside Shunning City, Lin Yuan was coiled up on his snake body, sizing up the charging demonic beasts, the expression on his face unchanged from the beginning. In the end, the human side had incomparably sophisticated defensive equipment. Whether it was catapults or ballistae, a single shot from them could instantly cause a large number of casualties. The two sides hadn't even started fighting yet, but the side of the demonic beasts had already been torn apart. However, although the humans' defensive equipment was powerful, the speed at which they were reloading was not something to be complimented on. After a few rounds of firing, nearly 1/7 of the demonic beasts were killed. However, the defensive equipment on the city wall was completely out of action. From time to time, they would pour a basin of hot oil, or throw a stone to attack the demonic beasts that came into contact with the city wall. However, they were unable to stop the demonic beasts from climbing up through the gaps between the city wall. Are we really going to lose this battle? King Kong stood beside Lin Yuan with his arms crossed and whispered to Lin Yuan. The resistance from the human side was not as fierce as it had imagined. Just now, it saw its flying demon beasts flying around Shunning City without being noticed by any human warriors. It was not until it gave the order to attack that these human warriors realized that there were also Grim Reapers above their heads. Losing 1/7 of the demonic beasts to come into contact with the city wall was already a great achievement for the demonic beasts. After all, the Black Snake's ferocious reputation was here. Ordinary demonic beasts simply did not have the courage to disobey Lin Yuan. Therefore, before Lin Yuan gave the order to retreat, these demonic beasts could only bite the bullet and charge forward. Otherwise, what awaited them would be a punishment more painful than death. Under such momentum, King Kong even felt that as long as the demonic beasts put in a little more effort, they would be able to take down the city wall directly. Lin Yuan flicked his tongue, and the image of Shunning City was formed in his mind. The image of Shunning City was perfectly formed in his mind. Until now, Lin Yuan shook his head and said in a deep voice, "Do you think the humans are really dumb? They just saw that the first echelon we sent out was just a group of cannon fodder, so they are too lazy to fight with them seriously. The real big guys on the human side have not shown up yet." In the image of Shunning City, at least 70% of the defense equipment on the human side had not been used yet. They were waiting for the demonic beasts to throw in their main forces, so that they could catch the demonic beasts off guard. However, this kind of trick was useless in front of Lin Yuan, not to mention deceiving him. Then now King Kong squinted his eyes and glanced at the city wall of Shunning City, and said coldly, "Just let it go? Give up the cannon fodder in front and maintain peace with the humans for a day?" No. Lin Yuan shook his head, and his heterochromatic eyes flashed with a touch of coldness. He said indifferently, "The humans want to lure our main forces to survive, so we might as well satisfy them this time. Inform your trusted subordinates to stay put, and send the rest of the main forces to attack the city. Pay attention to the strength, and don't really break through the humans' defense line." Conquering Shunning City would not benefit Lin Yuan at all, and it might even make him an abandoned pawn of the demonic beast palace. Therefore, even if Lin Yuan had to break his invincible golden body, he would not attack Shunning City at this time. However, his troops must suffer heavy losses, or the demonic beast palace would definitely continue to urge him to attack Shunning City. Therefore, for Lin Yuan, the best situation now was to lose more than half of his elite troops. In this way, not only could he ensure that he could continue to besiege Shunning City, but he could also ensure that Shunning City was still in a stalemate with him, but he would not have the strength to attack Shunning City again. "Okay, I will do it." King Kong nodded, and just when he was about to leave, Lin Yuan wrapped his leg with his snake tail. King Kong stopped and stared at Lin Yuan with a confused face. He almost squeezed out 3 question marks from his head. "I am just telling you the next step, but I don't want you to take the initiative to ask them to go to war. After you leave, the demonic beast kings will naturally find you and ask me what I mean. You can tell them that I am more conservative, and that today is only the first day, and that we should test each other's strength before talking about other things. This way they will beg you, and let you persuade me to attack Shunning City. After all, most of them have conflicts with me. At this time, if they listen to my orders, they may be played to death by me on the battlefield. So as long as this war can end early, they are willing to do anything, and are willing to take any risks. In this way, we can also get out of trouble." Lin Yuan's voice had a slight trace of ridicule. When his eyes fell on King Kong could not help but shiver. Too vicious. Really too vicious. Chapter 268. If those beast kings really wanted to end the war quickly, they would certainly ask King Kong to persuade Lin Yuan to dispatch the second echelon, or the main force to attack Shunning City as soon as possible. At that time, Lin Yuan would reluctantly agree to this matter. After they suffered a loss from the humans, even if they wanted to blame someone, they would not blame Lin Yuan. I, Black Snake, have always had a conservative attitude and plan to wait and see. A group of beast kings came to me and asked me to dispatch troops to attack. How can I not comply with you? After all, I am not an immortal. It is impossible for me to have a flawless plan. I also do not think that my strategic vision is better than all the beast kings in the Hengduan Mountains. Am I right, brothers? I, Black Snake, am an honest person. Walking in the Hengduan Mountains is all about loyalty, righteousness, courage, and trust. Looking at King Kong's hesitant eyes, Lin Yuan loosened the snake tail wrapped around King Kong's calf and said indifferently, "I didn't force them to die. Didn't I give them the choice? If they believe me and think that I won't do such a despicable thing, they naturally won't clamor to end this war as soon as possible. Naturally, they won't have to die." At this point, Lin Yuan paused and said with gloomy eyes, "There is a good saying in Buddhism that if there is Buddha in your heart, you can see that all things are Buddha. If these beast kings think that I am despicable, it can only mean that they are vicious. If I don't get rid of such existences as soon as possible, should I wait for them to plot against me?" King Kong was silent. He felt that Lin Yuan's words had a hidden meaning, but he could not find anything to refute Lin Yuan. In the end, King Kong could only shrug his shoulders, indicating that he did not want to offend such a terrifying existence as the black snake in his life. This black snake not only progressed at a strange speed, but also had a cunning mind and keen reactions, which were more terrifying than humans. As far as King Kong knew, no matter if it was a demon beast or a human, as long as they went against this black snake, they would not have a good ending. Chirp! An apricot yellow skylark drilled out of the clouds and landed on King Kong's shoulder, letting out a crisp chirp. However, King Kong's face turned gloomy in an instant. He said coldly, "Black Snake, almost all of my aerial demonic beasts have been annihilated. Nearly 60% of them were killed in the ambush of the liaisons between the strongholds in Shunning City. The remaining 20% are now missing. They have completely become a defeated army. Although the number of flying beasts under King Kong's command was not many, all of them were elites. If they were taken out alone, almost all of them could take charge alone. Losing one of them would make King Kong's heart ache. Now that the news of nearly 80% of them being lost came, King Kong almost couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. Let your subordinates return to the camp to rest first. This is a bad thing for you, but it's also a good thing. Although you won't be able to cultivate another powerful flying beast army in a short period of time, those big shots in the Beast Palace won't pick on you anymore. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and slowly walked out of the camp. His multicolored eyes flashed with a dangerous light. Shunning City, North Gate Tower, Temporary Command Center. Lei Fan led Li Zhongxing and Zhang Qilin into the command center. They just happened to see the Thunder Lord City Lord and the Shunning City Lord discussing battle tactics in front of a war sand table. The Thunder Lord City Lord crossed his arms and said in a heavy tone, "Although I don't know why, but the attack of the demonic beasts today is indeed evil. If it was in the past, when the demonic beasts touched the city wall so quickly, the demonic beasts behind would definitely be excited and rush up dauntlessly. Our city defense equipment would also be able to give them a hard time. But today, almost a third of the first batch of demonic beasts have been killed by us, and the demonic beasts behind have not made any move at all." Shunning City's city lord also nodded slightly and said, "It seems that the Monster Beast Palace has made a follow-up move. The Fox Human Commander, who only knew how to charge forward like a child, should have been replaced. The guy who is commanding the demonic beasts to fight with us is a little shrewd." Speaking up to here, he was silent for a moment. Then he narrowed his eyes and said, "Why don't we release the remaining city defense equipment first? Although these demonic beasts climbing the city wall are just cannon fodder, but in close combat, they are still a threat to our warriors." Just as the two of them were discussing up to this point, Lei Fan happened to stride into the temporary command center. His gaze paused on the sand table for a moment before he said in a deep voice, "I do not agree with the release of the defensive armaments now. Have the two city lords forgotten where we got our supplies from? Now that the demonic beasts have changed their commanding style, you can think of it as the other party being shrewd and not willing to suffer a loss. Can you also think of it as the other party giving us time to slaughter these low-level demonic beasts?" Others might not be able to see who was commanding the demonic beasts outside the city, but Lei Fan, who had been in close contact with the Black Snake during this period of time, would definitely know. After all, there were not many demonic beasts who knew how to use tactics. In this battlefield, only the Black Snake knew how to gather the low-level demonic beasts to charge and attract the firepower of the human defense equipment to the main force. But with the Black Snake style, organizing a group of low-level demonic beasts to attack the city was just a means. If it really wanted to attack Shunning City, it would not have done it so simply. At the very least, it would have placed some high-level demonic beasts among this group of low-level demonic beasts, and used the aura of the low-level demonic beasts to cover them. When they started to climb the city wall, it would suddenly attack and directly destroy part of the city defense equipment. Then, the main force would swarm in and easily gain the upper hand, or even directly seize the city wall. But the Black Snake did not do that. So Lei Fan could be sure that the Black Snake had gotten the news of that thing from somewhere, and started this battle under the urging of the demonic beast palace. It was just that the Black Snake did not seem to want to win, so it first sent the demonic beast emperor to deliver supplies to them. Then, it began to send the demonic beasts under its command to die. It wanted to use these demonic beasts to pay a heavy price to shut the mouth of the demonic beast palace. If that's the case, a glimmer of light appeared in the eyes of the city lord, and he said with a smile, "The guy commanding these demonic beasts does not want to win, so he deliberately sent the demonic beasts to die." Lei Fan nodded, his eyes showing a touch of seriousness, and he said in a deep voice, "I have dealt with it a few times. Every time, I could not see what it was thinking, and it might even do some very stupid things. But it is undeniable that it was the one who benefited every time. Otherwise, its strength would not have grown at such a terrifying speed. Chapter 269. Even if the other party sent the monsters here to die, the battlefield is constantly changing. Maybe the other party's command will be transferred to other monsters, and maybe they will change their mind. The mayor of Shunning City hit the nail on the head and said coldly, maybe they don't want to win now because they are worried that the Shinwu dynasty will take revenge on the monsters in the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains. But what if we can't? What if our revenge is not worth mentioning compared to the benefits offered by the Monster King Palace? Everyone in the temporary command center was silent. Seeing that everyone's will was somewhat affected, the mayor of Shunning City smiled and said, I just hope that you don't bet all your treasures on the other party. On the bright side, we are still on the same side as the other party. We have enough living materials in our hands. As long as we kill the monsters before the other party goes back on his words, it will be too late even if the other party turns hostile. About 15 minutes later, 2/3 of the monsters that rushed up the city wall had been killed. Before the humans could take a breath, a large group of ferocious monsters rushed out from the monsters' side, and their momentum was obviously much stronger than the previous cannon fodder. More importantly, most of the humans were entangled by the cannon fodder monsters at the moment, and they couldn't spare a hand to deal with the second group of monsters. Therefore, in the eyes of the charging monsters, they seemed to have seen the dawn of victory. Boom, boom, boom. Another roar of artillery fire sounded. The demonic beasts that had just charged did not even have time to react. When more than half of them rushed into the area covered by the human artillery, they heard a roar in their ears. In an instant, nearly 1/3 of the demonic beasts were directly blasted into meat paste. The sky was full of demonic beasts' limbs flying everywhere. The scene was extremely disgusting. This round of artillery fire was much fiercer than the first round. The monsters didn't expect that the humans didn't go all out in the first round at all, as if they were waiting for them. At this time, for these monster kings who volunteered to fight, it was like a dumb person eating Chinese medicine. They couldn't say anything. They asked King Kong and Bai Lu to persuade Black Snake to agree with their plan. Firstly, they wanted to end the war as soon as possible. Secondly, they wanted to rush into Shunning City and plunder the human resources. In this border city, any shop belonging to the merchant union could be described as rich. However, the scene before them had shattered their illusions. If they continued to walk forward, they would be faced with the humans' artillery and cold weapons. If he retreated, he would face the wrath and punishment of the Black Snake. Before the start of the battle, the Black Snake had already said that once they set foot on the battlefield, no one was allowed to retreat without its orders. During the first round of attacks, some flying demonic beasts that had sneaked back to the camp were caught by the Black Snake as an example to the public. Now the skinned corpses were still hanging near the camp to deter the demonic beasts. One of the Beast Kings turned around with a hateful expression and happened to see the black serpent coiled up outside the camp. Its heterochromatic eyes were fixed on it, and the ridicule in its eyes was not concealed at all. For example, King Kong, Bai Lu, and some other Beast Kings who had no conflict with the black serpent, and thus remained neutral, and did not participate in the battle gathered together. At this moment, they did not conceal their gloating expressions. Kill. Rush up the city wall, and seize control of the city wall from the humans. A demonic beast at the 8th level of Wisdom Realm let out a roar, and took the lead to rush out. It was impossible to retreat now. If they continued to stay here, they would only be waiting for the humans to reload and bombard them with the next round of artillery fire. Therefore, if they wanted to break this deadlock, they could only choose to fight with their lives on the line. The demonic beasts were decisive, but the humans' reaction wasn't slow either. After the artillery, ballistae, and other defensive weapons were used up, a large group of soldiers holding crossbows appeared in the areas of the city wall that hadn't been attacked by the demonic beasts. They began to shoot at the demonic beasts. Although most of these crossbow bolts couldn't penetrate the shells of the demonic beasts, once there were enough of them, there would be a pleasant surprise. For example, if the bolts hit the eyes of the demonic beasts, they could still cause effective damage. The most vicious were the crossbows that were aimed at the demonic beasts as they approached the city wall. Even level 5 Wisdom Realm demonic beasts would have to take 2 steps back with red faces after being hit by the crossbow bolts. The shells of level 5 Wisdom Realm demonic beasts couldn't block the bolts at all. As for Spirit Awakening Realm demonic beasts, no matter what level they were at, as long as they were hit by the crossbow bolts, their bodies would immediately be pierced. If they were hit in a vital spot, they would die on the spot. As expected of the number 1 pass on the northern frontier, there was a flash of shock in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes. The first round was a blanket attack from the ballistae and artillery. Then the arrows were used to slow down the demonic beast's charge. When the demonic beasts got close to the city wall, there would be even more fatal crossbows. Although the follow-up strategy hadn't been used yet, Lin Yuan could clearly see through his sense of smell that large boulders were being transported to the city wall. Pots of boiling oil were boiling, and the first batch of demonic beasts had been killed by the humans. It wouldn't be long before the humans came out to deal with the demonic beasts that had just arrived. "Are we still not going?" Bai Lu narrowed his eyes and asked with some doubt. In the face of the human strategy of defending the city, if they were also fighting against humans, they could naturally play all kinds of tricks to deal with it. However, they were only facing a group of demon beasts who only knew how to fight recklessly. They could easily bring the demon beasts into their own rhythm, and then play them to death one by one. In the past, when faced with such a strategy, the demon beasts could only brace themselves and charge forward. Either they died, or the humans died. There was no other choice at all. However, for Lin Yuan, there were countless ways to deal with this kind of common defense strategy in the military books of his previous life. With the demonic beast's various innate abilities, it wasn't difficult for him to break through the humans' defense line. However, he still didn't want to win this battle. After all, there was no benefit to winning, and there was no harm to losing. Why should he force himself to work for the humans? As for his goal of being noticed by the higher-ups, he had already accomplished it the moment he killed Fire Kirin. Whether or not Beast Lord Kirin suspected that he was the demonic emperor, he would find time to privately contact him. Chapter 270. Lord Blacksnake. There's a lord from the demonic beast imperial court at the back of the camp. He specifically asked to see you. A golden-furred monkey demon appeared in front of Lin Yuan. His fur-covered face flickered with excitement. A lord from the demonic beast imperial court? A hint of surprise flashed through Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes. Logically speaking, the news of him killing the Foxman warlord shouldn't have spread so quickly. Even if some of the demonic beast kings who didn't like Lin Yuan had spread the news, the time it took for them to travel from the demonic beast imperial court to here was far from enough for them to make a round trip. Could it be that the demonic beast imperial court was worried about the Foxman warlord, so they sent another stabilizing force? Bring me over. Lin Yuan nodded and smiled kindly at the monkey demon. When the 2 demonic beasts arrived at the back of the camp, an overwhelming pressure directly attacked them. Lin Yuan's pair of heterochromatic eyes suddenly flashed with a touch of surprise, but before he had time to speak, he was directly pressed to the ground by the other party's pressure, as if he was a subject kowtowing like a king. As for the golden-furred monkey demon, it fainted the moment the other party's aura erupted. "Blacksnake, I heard that you're the demonic beast emperor?" A dignified voice rang out. Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly shrank, revealing an expression of disbelief. Dragon head, moose body, oxtail, horse hooves, apart from the fact that the scales of the demonic beast emperor in front of him were cyan and dark green, there wasn't much difference between him and a Kirin. Clearly, this was also a Kirin. In the Hengduan mountain range, there was only one Kirin that could come from the demonic beast imperial court. Thus, the identity of the demonic beast in front of him was as clear as day. The moment Lin Yuan lowered his head, his thoughts flew like lightning. However, his multicolored eyes didn't reveal the slightest bit of emotion. "You think you can muddle through without speaking?" Beastmaster Kirin sneered and said in a deep voice. "It seems that you're not the demonic beast emperor. At most, you're a puppet pushed out by the demonic beast emperor. Black Snake, I can give you a chance." Tell me who the demonic beast emperor behind you is, and I can guarantee you a good position in the demonic beast imperial court. Even if you can't break through for the rest of your life, you'll still be safe and sound. Lin Yuan let out a long sigh and chuckled. Lord Beast Lord must be joking. I just didn't expect that I would trouble Lord Beast Lord to make a trip personally for such a trivial matter. As for whether I am the demon god or not, and whether I have a demon god behind me, I don't care. This seems to be my private matter. There's no need to report it to the Beast Master, right? Lin Yuan didn't think that the two words demonic beast emperor would be so important to Beast Master Kirin. He only heard that Beast Master Kirin was a demonic beast emperor, and after organizing the Demonic Beast Emperor Association to participate in the mission to kill Fire Kirin, he actually made a trip personally. Currently, Beast Master Kirin's attitude towards the demonic beast emperor was still uncertain. Therefore, Lin Yuan couldn't rashly admit that he was the demonic beast emperor. In this situation where Beast Master Kirin treated him as a puppet of the demonic beast emperor, the more he put the title of demonic beast emperor on himself, the less likely Beast Master Kirin would think that he was the demonic beast emperor. With Kirin's status, a small puppet wasn't worth it. This way he could ensure his own safety. Black Snake, don't play this game. If you can mobilize the Demonic Beast Emperor Association, it means that your relationship with the Demonic Beast Emperor is much closer than I thought. I didn't come here today to find trouble with you. I just have a message for you. Or you can pass it on to the real Demonic Beast Emperor. At this point, Beast Master Kirin clearly became serious. He said in a deep voice, "It doesn't matter if it's a Beast Master or a Demonic Beast Emperor. There can only be one ruler in the Hengduan mountain range. Of course, I have to admit that I'm already old. Now with each passing day, I can feel my body's functions deteriorating. With each passing day, my demonic power is constantly weakening. Therefore, I no longer have the drive to make progress like I did when I was young. I only want to protect the Hengduan mountain range and leave behind a land for the demonic beast clan to continue to thrive." Lin Yuan didn't interrupt Kirin's speech. He looked at him thoughtfully. "Black Snake, you're very good. You have the same demeanor as I did when I was young. You didn't think of hiding under my protection. The Shenwu dynasty was like a nail that was nailed into the Hengduan mountain range. The 7 cities outside the Hengduan mountain range were destroyed by you. Therefore, I came here to say these words to you. Whether you're the demonic beast emperor or not, in my opinion, you're a suitable candidate. If there comes a day when I can no longer fight, I hope that you can become the new beast master and raise the flag of the Hengduan mountain range. I don't ask you to lead the demonic beast clan back to its former glory. I only hope that you can ensure that the demonic beast clan can continue to thrive and not be driven to extinction by humans. Of course, you don't have the qualifications now. Therefore, I will give you time to grow. In 2 years, I will come to find you again. If you still don't meet my standards, I will kill you first and then uproot your demonic beast emperor association." Kirin, the beast master, had a ferocious look in his eyes as he stared at Lin Yuan. Just like what Kirin told Lin Yuan before, the beast master, Kirin's generation was the most outstanding in the Hengduan mountain range in recent years. They were even able to suppress the 7 dynasties. If it wasn't for the beast master, Kirin's intervention, the remaining members of the Jiao clan would have been exterminated by Lei Qiusheng. They would not have become the Demonic Beast Emperor Association's biggest opponent in the underworld of the Shenwu dynasty. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the initial recognition of the Beast Master, Kirin. Triggered special mission. Beast Master's recognition. Mission description. You have now grown into one of the top demonic beasts of the younger generation in the Hengduan mountain range. Regardless of your means or temperament, you are far superior to other demonic beasts of the same generation. Therefore, the Beast Master, Kirin, has listed you as one of the successors of the Hengduan mountain range. The only thing that you do not meet the criteria of the Beast Master, Kirin, is that your cultivation level is too low. Please be sure to grow into a demonic beast that will impress the Beast Master, Kirin, within 2 years. Mission reward unknown. Punishment for failure: death. Lin Yuan had no doubts about the punishment for failure. After all, there could only be one beast master of the Hengduan mountain range. The chaos caused by the fire Kirin back then had become an eternal scar in the Hengduan mountain range. The beast master, Kirin, would never allow something like that to happen again. Therefore, he would observe all the successors until he chose the most suitable one. As for the other successors, they would either submit to the new beast master obediently or wait for the beast master, Kirin, to purge them. Among the successors, the most unstable one was Lin Yuan, the demonic beast emperor. Therefore, he had no right to choose. He could either become the next beast master or be purged directly. Chapter 271. The beast master Qilin narrowed his eyes and suddenly smiled. It seems that I don't need to remind you. Your thoughts are indeed very clear. You know that if you win this battle, you will have to pay a heavy price. Not bad, let's fight like this. In that instant, the beast master Qilin had already sensed the changes in the battlefield ahead. Seeing Lin Yuan's confused face, Kirin smiled and said, "It's just an old friend's request, so I can't refuse. But friends are friends, and we have to be clear about business and personal matters. Being able to take down the 6 border cities is already a pleasant surprise. I didn't come here just to see you, the Shifter Emperor, but also to—" Kirin's eyes suddenly turned gloomy, and he said coldly, "to see who is so impatient to cause trouble. After all, I'm not dead yet." The monster beast Imperial Court had repeatedly urged them to start a decisive battle with the humans. Was it actually not the Beast Lord Qilin's idea? Lin Yuan's eyes also became serious. He always thought that there was something wrong with the Monster King Court, but he didn't expect it to be this big. The Lord of the Inferno Beasts seemed to be hiding in the Monster King Court, and his power seemed to be quite strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to suppress the Green Swamp clan. Also, the power behind the Fire Kirin seemed to want to take control of the Hengduan Mountains. If they could send a Fire Kirin to shake Kirin's rule, then there was no way they didn't have control over the Monster King Court. Lin Yuan wasn't sure if the people urging him to fight the humans were the power behind the Fire Kirin. If they weren't together, then there would be a lot of trouble. However, this problem was a bit tricky for Kirin. But if Lin Yuan was the Beast King, then he would have a lot of power. He wouldn't be able to plant a traitor under his command. I'll take my leave first. There's a lot of information I can get from wandering around. Kirin smiled. Then he retracted his aura and slowly retreated into the shadows. After Beast Lord Kirin left, Lin Yuan let out a long sigh and turned to look in the direction of Shunning City. Previously, he was a little worried about the attitude of the King of Monsters if they really lost this war. But now, it seemed that the King of Monsters' internal problems had not been solved yet, and he still had the support of the King of Monsters, Kirin. When the King of Monsters reached out their claws to him, he would just chop them up and be done with it. When he returned to the camp, King Kong and Bai Lu immediately surrounded him with a questioning look in their eyes. "It's fine. Give the order to retreat." Lin Yuan coiled up and gave the order expressionlessly. Question marks appeared in the heads of the Beast Kings. The second batch of mystical beasts had already reached the top of the city wall. They had already begun slaughtering the human archers and destroying the city's defensive equipment. If they sent out the third batch, they would be able to easily take over the city wall. They would force the humans to engage in a street battle with them and tip the scales of victory in their favor. But now, the first thing he said was to retreat. What was the meaning of this? Just King act? Master Black Snake, this? A Beast King licked his lips and took the initiative to take a step forward. He wanted to change Lin Yuan's decision. But what he got in response was Lin Yuan's indifferent eyes and cold words. "Anyway, I have already given the order. I don't care if you follow it or not. If you think that you can take over the city wall now, do as you please. But before you set out, you have to think clearly about what will happen to you if you back out halfway." As soon as his voice fell, the whole crowd was silent. Now, those mystical beasts who were fighting with the humans on the city wall did not listen to the Black Snake's order and forced themselves to fight with the humans. As a result, they were trapped in the enemy's camp and could only continue to charge forward. They did not even doubt that if they rushed forward and were held back by the humans, the black snake would not hesitate to abandon them. So even if they knew that they had an 80% chance of taking over the city wall, none of them moved. After all, those mystical beasts who were still fighting with the humans thought so too. Lin Yuan did not know whether the humans still had a trump card or not. But now, with the Beast King Kirin's order, even if Lin Yuan was acting, the mystical Beast King could not do anything to him. Or perhaps, the Beast King Kirin wanted the mystical Beast King to find trouble with Lin Yuan. When the time came, he would see how many people were adding fuel to the fire behind the scenes. The Beast King Kirin would then be able to see who was the traitor. At the same time, Shunning City Wall. The Thunder God City Lord looked at the mystical Beast King's camp that did not move for a long time. Even if the commander of these mystical beasts was really a traitor, he would not act to this extent, right? Was he not worried that the mystical Beast King would hold him responsible at all? At this moment, a huge blue eagle slowly rose from the mystical Beast King's camp. It opened its beak and cried out 3 times in a row. Only then did the city lord's face reveal a solemn expression. It's here. The mystical beasts would not let them go so easily. The blue eagle flew up to release some kind of signal. Could it be that the mystical beasts wanted to send their entire army to defeat them in one go? The Thunder God City Lord held the signal flare in his hand with a nervous expression. In order to ensure that everyone had enough rest, except for the guards of Shunning City, the guards of the other cities had a rotation system. But releasing this signal flare meant that the front line could not hold on any longer. The other city lords would have to send their subordinates to support them. Originally, they thought that they would have to hold on for at least 3 days. After 3 days, the reinforcements from the imperial capital would arrive. The mystical beasts would have no choice but to disperse. So if they started a decisive battle at this time, they would be at a disadvantage. But after the Blue Eagle returned to the mystical Beast King's camp, there was no movement from the mystical Beast King's camp. It was as if the Blue Eagle was just released to scare them. The mystical beasts that were fighting on the city wall were at a loss at this moment. It was as if they did not believe the signal they had just received. But soon some of the smarter mystical beasts reacted. They directly gave up on their opponents and rushed to the mystical Beast King's camp. Looking at the mystical Beast King's camp, they knew that the Black Serpent would definitely not support them. So as long as the humans chased after them, they would definitely suffer heavy losses. At this time, the only ones who could be used to bring up the rear were their comrades who fought side by side. In this kind of meat grinder, whoever ran slower would die. Chapter 272. Night. Lin Yuan woke up the sleeping Beast Kings one by one. In this war, humans were obviously at an absolute disadvantage, so the demon beasts didn't think that humans would come and attack them. Other than some nocturnal demon beasts that were still near the camp, the rest of the demon beasts were sleeping soundly. Being suddenly disturbed from their sleep, many demon beasts immediately showed an impatient look. But when they saw the smiling Black Snake in front of them, they immediately restrained their emotions and followed Black Snake like obedient babies to wake up the next Beast King. About 15 minutes later, all the Beast Kings gathered in the center of the camp. Even their trusted subordinates followed. After all, no one knew what the Black Snake was up to in the middle of the night. Therefore they all stared at the Black Snake with vigilance, afraid that the Black Snake would suddenly attack. Everyone, let's attack at night. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with excitement. In an instant, all the Beast Kings in the camp showed a speechless look. It could have won the battle during the day, but it did not fight, and in the middle of the night, it dragged them to attack the camp? Did this Black Snake have nothing better to do? Master Black Snake, a night attack is a good idea. After all, the humans have been fighting with us for an entire day. I guess they are all exhausted, but you have to consider our situation, right? Our main army has also been fighting a bloody battle for an entire day. Even if you are not tired, we are. A Beast King that participated in the attack on Shunning City during the day snorted twice and directly sang a different tune. Although the other Beast Kings did not express their opinions, The Beast Kings that were tricked during the day all tacitly stood behind the Beast King that took the initiative to talk back to Black Snake. Although there were not many of them who had the courage to come out and take the lead, it was not so difficult for them to express their opinions after having a leader. You don't want to go? Fine, then you don't have to go. Lin Yuan did not continue to pester them. His eyes swept across the Beast Kings' faces one by one, and a touch of ridicule flashed across his eyes. The Beast Kings were also stunned. They didn't expect the Black Serpent to be so easy to talk to at this time. The Black Serpent didn't even fly into a rage out of humiliation like they had imagined. The Black Serpent simply brushed this matter aside. Those who are willing to attack Shunning City at night, follow me. Lin Yuan looked around at the surrounding Beast Kings, then took the initiative to walk in the direction of Shunning City. Along the way, all the Beast Kings tactfully opened up a path for Lin Yuan. However, there were very few Beast Kings who gathered their subordinates to follow behind the Black Snake. Not only were humans unwilling to engage in a bloody battle with demonic beasts were the same. If it were in Demonic Beasts Forest or Hengduan Mountains, demonic beasts could easily deal with the attacks of several Beast Kings of the same level. However, near human cities, demonic beasts' mobility was greatly limited. They had almost no advantages except for their strong physique. Therefore, in the battle between demonic beasts and humans, although demonic beasts were always the stronger party, humans were the ones who won most of the time. Bailu, King Kong, and 3 or 4 Beast Kings led their subordinates and followed behind Lin Yuan, quietly approaching the direction of Shunning City. Every time they got closer to Shunning City, the movements of these demonic beasts would slow down a little, and even their breathing gradually became lighter. Only pairs of flashing cold eyes lit up in the darkness. Tonight, Shunning City was not on high alert. A group of demonic beasts came to Shunning City, but the alarm on the city wall did not sound. Master Black Snake, shall we climb the city wall now? A Beast King quietly walked to Lin Yuan's side and took the initiative to ask. It did not really believe that Lin Yuan's night attack plan would succeed, but it was very clear that Lin Yuan dared to directly kill the Foxman warlord. After meeting with the Beast King's emissary, he was still safe and sound. Moreover, he was even acting more and more arrogant. This meant that this Black Snake must have something to rely on, and was not afraid of the Beast King's emissary. If its guess was correct, in the next few decades, the Hengduan Mountains and the surrounding areas of the Shenwu dynasty would become the Black Snake's hunting ground. Whether it was ordinary demonic beasts or Beast Kings, they could only tremble in fear when they saw the Black Snake. Therefore, there was no harm in getting familiar with the Black Snake now. Even if the Black Snake was pretending, it did not matter. The Beast King's emissary would find trouble with the Black Snake in the future. No, wait a little longer. Lin Yuan lay on the ground. His heterochromatic eyes shone with a strange light. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for dawn? The white deer rolled its eyes. It was more familiar with the Black Snake, so it naturally did not have so many scruples. But now that it thought about it, it was really a little scared. After all, under the Black Snake's control, almost all the Beast Kings had lost a lot of their men in Shunning City. Only the white deer himself had not lost many demonic beasts. Now that it followed Lin Yuan to attack Shunning City in the middle of the night, it had a bad premonition. No, wait for the main force of the humans to come out. Lin Yuan licked his lips. The strange light in his eyes shone even brighter. If it was not for his sense of smell monitoring every movement in Shunning City, he would not have thought that these humans would have the audacity to attack the demonic beast's camp tonight. However, there were only 2 regular human armies that were fighting with them today. There were still 6 human armies that had yet to be mobilized. It was not impossible for them to take advantage of the demonic beast's low morale and exhaustion to launch a surprise attack on the demonic beast's camp. The main force of the humans? Come out. King Kong was slightly startled. It looked at Lin Yuan with a strange expression. Oh my god. Those Beast Kings in the camp seemed to have been unknowingly tricked by the Black Snake again. If there were Beast Kings who were lucky enough to survive, wouldn't they do whatever the Black Snake asked them to do in the future? About 20 minutes later, the gate of Shunning City slowly opened. It was like a giant beast hibernating in the dark, quietly opening its bloody mouth full of sharp teeth and slowly approaching its prey. As the gate opened, a cavalry of 5,000 to 6,000 people slowly walked out of the gate. All of them were wearing black armor and black clothes. The hooves of the horses were wrapped in cloth, and there were copper coins in the mouths of the horses. The troop of thousands of people moved slowly without making any sound. If they had not seen them coming out, they would not have believed that this was real. Lin Yuan's heart did not waver. With a calm face he said, "Wait a little longer. The gate will not be closed. These knights will retreat after burning our camp. When they return to Shunning City, the gate will be closed. We will rush in and directly seize the gate tower. We will make sure that our escape route will not be cut off. We will give these humans a hard time." Chapter 273. Thousands of cavalrymen slowly left the perimeter of Shunning City. As planned, they divided themselves into 3 groups and surrounded the demonic beast's camp. Their movements were still uniform. They pulled out a black stick from the back of the saddle and lit it up with a match. The black stick soaked in kerosene was ignited in an instant. In an instant, the area was lit up by the fire, as if it was daytime. Fire! The leader of the cavalrymen threw out the fire stick in his hand and coldly closed his helmet. Thousands of fire sticks followed closely behind, completely igniting the demonic beast's camp. Everywhere they looked, demonic beasts were running around in panic. Only a few demonic beasts were still trying their best to gather the other demonic beasts around them. Unfortunately, it was not very effective. At this time there were too few demonic beasts that could still remain calm. After all, demonic beasts were also evolved from wild beasts. Although the bonfires that humans lit to guard against wild beasts were useless against them, when the scale of the fire reached a certain level, they would still feel fear. Just like now. Kill. The leader of the cavalrymen gave the order again. He took the lead and rushed into the demonic beast's camp. The spear in his hand instantly pierced through the bodies of 4 demonic beasts. At this moment, the protective mechanism of the spear was triggered. When the steel tip of the spear pierced through the enemy's body, the hardwood in the middle broke under the pressure. The recoil force would not be transmitted to the cavalryman. Otherwise, the recoil force would have been enough to cripple one of his hands. After the spear was broken, the cavalryman threw away the handle in his hand and pulled out a curved sword from the back of the saddle. With the help of the high speed of the horse, the cavalrymen began to clear out the demonic beasts that were approaching. One by one, the corpses of the demonic beasts fell to the ground. Blossoms of demonic blood bloomed in the air. Soon, all the demonic beasts' resistance in the camp were slaughtered by the cavalrymen. Although there were some that escaped the net and ran away when they saw that the situation was not right, there were not many of them. It was completely harmless. The cavalrymen laughed wildly. They even dragged some of the demonic beasts that were still alive behind their horses. They had been suppressed by the demonic beasts for so long. Finally, they could vent their anger. "Old son, the number isn't right." A knight suddenly furrowed his brows and muttered softly. Then he muttered, "The demonic beasts here seem to be the ones that were fighting on the city walls during the day. Other than them, there are dozens of beast kings and their subordinate demonic beasts that are not here. Moreover, I heard that the demonic beasts from other places are also gathering here. Therefore, it is impossible for the demonic beast camp to only have so few demonic beasts." The rider called Old Sun was stepping on the corpse of a demonic beast. He laughed and said, "What's wrong with that? This was only one of the demonic beast camps. At most, there were 7 or 8 beast kings stationed here. When the battle started, these beast kings would bring their subordinate demonic beasts to gather with their commanders. Then, they would mobilize the demonic beasts from their respective camps. Not only is there nothing wrong with the number of demonic beasts here, it's even." Old Sun's voice suddenly stopped. After a while, he seemed to have suddenly thought of something and directly rushed towards the demonic beast camp where the flames were rising. "The number of demonic beasts here is wrong? Of course not. During the day, the demonic beasts that fought with the Thunder Lord's army suffered heavy losses. It was absolutely impossible for there to be so many demonic beasts in this camp. The demonic beasts that they encountered now could only mean that the number of demonic beasts in this camp was much more than they had imagined. However, after a round of cleaning, they did not see many beast kings. Then where did all the demonic beasts go? On the other side, under the leadership of Lin Yuan, the demonic beasts that participated in the night raid sneaked into Shunning City one after another. The few sentries on the city walls did not even have time to react before their throats were cut by the feathers of several flying demonic beasts. From the moment the knights left the city to the moment the demonic beasts entered the city, it was like two armies switching sides. In the past 10 minutes, there was not even the slightest movement from the side of Shunning City. The entire city wall was occupied by the demonic beasts. A part of the city's defense equipment was instantly destroyed. If the battle that happened during the day happened again, the side of Shunning City would definitely not be able to suppress the demonic beast's charge with artillery. Some of you who are quick, come with me. Let's burn the humans' granary. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flickered in the darkness as he whispered an order to the demonic beasts beside him. In this war he had made a great concession. First, he let the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor send a batch of materials that were enough for the humans to defend. Then, in terms of strategy, he gave the humans several victories. He did not expect that the humans would still dare to go out of the city and launch a night raid on the demonic beasts' camp. If they continued to follow this train of thought, when the Shunwu dynasty sent reinforcements, wouldn't the humans directly rush out of Shunning City and drive them all the way back to the demonic beasts' forest? Since the humans were so restless, Lin Yuan naturally would not be polite. Compared to the large scale of thousands of knights, Lin Yuan's night raid was silent, but deadly enough. First, he took over the city gate tower. Now the city gate facing the Hengduan Mountains was completely under Lin Yuan's control. Soon, the demonic beasts in the other demonic beasts camp would realize that there was a night raid. Even without the Black Snake's order, they would not let the human knights who had left the city and entered the wilderness go. As long as Lin Yuan closed the city gate of Shunning City, the humans would not be able to escape death even if they escaped to the city walls. Although the night raid in Shunning City had killed countless knights, the source of soldiers was never a problem for the demonic beasts. Even if all the demonic beasts were killed today, the demonic beasts in the Hengduan Mountains would continue to organize a beast tide in 2 or 3 years, and send the surplus demonic beasts to the humans' camp to die. Soon, a group of demonic beasts that were good at sneaking, hiding, and moving fast left their original team and followed Lin Yuan, slowly blending into the night. After all, Lin Yuan had stayed in Shunning City for several days and had the information network of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, the secret strongholds in Shunning City were no secret to Lin Yuan. Even the number of guards in the granaries, the number of hidden sentries, and the location of the sentries were all under Lin Yuan's control. After all, the other members of the Association of the Demon Emperor had left, but the branch in Shunning City still existed. Chapter 274. Shunning City, City Lord's Mansion. The City Lord of Shunning City was awakened by the panicked shoving of his housekeeper. Fortunately, the City Lord's temper was not bad, and the housekeeper had served him for many years, so the relationship between the two sides was very good. If it was someone with a bad temper, being woken up in the middle of the night like this, it would be good if he did not kill the other party to vent his anger. Uncle Fu, what's wrong? The City Lord of Shunning City sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his sleepy eyes, and asked casually. Although he looked a little lazy, but the City Lord of Shunning City's heartstrings were tight. After all, Uncle Fu was an old man who had been promoted from his father's generation, and had seen many things in the world. There were not many things that could make him so panicked. And this matter must be related to Shunning City, otherwise Uncle Fu would not have woken him up in the middle of the night. Could it be? The City Lord of Shunning City slowly opened his eyes. In the evening, the 7 city lords held an emergency meeting, and the general idea was that they should take advantage of the fact that the monster beasts were tired and dispirited, and organize a night attack to clear out one of the monster beasts' camps. This would not only deter these beasts, but also relieve the pressure on Shunning City. The proposal was good, but it was rejected on the spot by him, Lei Fan and the city lord Lei Gongyan. To them, the current situation was already quite good. As long as they maintained this kind of relationship with the demonic beasts, they would be able to pass these 3 days peacefully. There was no need for them to do anything unnecessary. For example, they would offend these demonic beasts just to vent their anger. If by any chance they angered that self-proclaimed demonic emperor, this good situation would instantly collapse under the rage of the other party. Young master, the city lords have organized a group of people to attack the monster beasts' camps at night. Uncle Fu took a deep breath, and there was a touch of fear in his eyes. The city lord of Shunning City took a deep breath, and when he looked at Uncle Fu, his whole body trembled slightly. Uncle Fu was an old man in the family, and when he served the previous city lord, his father, he called him young master. Now that his father had passed away for nearly 10 years, the name Uncle Fu still did not change. It was just that the child who only looked for Uncle Fu to solve his problems had become a middle-aged man who carried the burden of the family. Who? The city lord of Shunning City heaved a heavy sigh of relief. His eyes were slightly red as he comforted him. It's okay. Tonight's night attack is 100% successful. After all, our situation here is not good. The demon beasts will never think that we would dare to leave the safety of Shunning City to attack them. It's just that the next battle won't be easy. The Shifter Emperor had given them a chance to breathe and had shown them enough kindness. If they could control their thoughts that they shouldn't have, then the unpleasant things between both sides wouldn't have happened. But now, the humans had taken the initiative to jump out of their comfort zone, which was obviously a slap to the Shifter Emperor's face. It would be fine if Shunning City had the strength to do so, but unfortunately, Shunning City did not have the strength to do so. Now that he had offended the Demon Arch, the only result was that the Demon Arch would be enraged and would not go easy on him anymore. Theoretically speaking, the reinforcements from the imperial capital would arrive in Shunning City in 3 days. However, no one knew if there would be any accidents during this period. Moreover, the Xinwu dynasty was in a precarious situation now. It was already a good result for them to be able to defend their own territory. It was impossible for them to take the initiative to take over the war and fight against the Hengduan Mountains. He had clearly rejected their proposal, but these guys still dared to do it. Not only did they offend the Demon Arch, but they also challenged his authority. This made him, who had a strong desire for control, very unhappy. No, it's not that. Young master, let me finish. The city lords did send people to attack the demon beasts' camp at night. I don't know how the battle went, but the demon beasts also killed their way into Shunning City in less than half an hour. I just received the news that Shunning City was completely lost, and we lost a large number of city defense equipment. Uncle Fu's voice was trembling. Even an old man like him who didn't know much about war understood how important a safe city wall was for humans. Losing these city defense equipment was like appearing naked in front of the demon beasts, and they might be bitten off at any time. Boom. It was as if a heavy bomb had exploded in his mind. After hearing the news of the demon beast's night attack, the city lord of Shunning City trembled with anger. How did the demon beasts get in? If they climbed the city wall or invaded by flying demon beasts, no matter how small the movement was, it was impossible for the sentries on the city wall not to have time to react. There was only one possibility for this to happen. These sentries thought that the night attack troops would have carried out a thorough investigation of the surrounding environment after leaving the city, so they didn't expect that there would be demon beasts nearby. Therefore, they relaxed their vigilance, which gave the demon beasts a chance to take advantage of. In addition, the city gate was wide open, so the demon beasts didn't need to climb the city wall at all. They could directly walk in through the gate. As long as they were fast enough, they could kill the sentries in an instant. They could even silence the sound directly without anyone noticing. Quick! Go and inform our people to send more people to the granary immediately. After being stunned for a moment, the city lord of Shunning City was no longer thinking about who to blame, but how to minimize the loss. Now that the city was controlled by the demon beasts, not to mention the loss of city defense equipment. If the demon beasts were more ruthless and directly closed the city gate to resist the attack of the soldiers in Shunning City, the night attack troops outside would be completely wiped out. If the demon beasts took advantage of this time to burn down the granary, although they wouldn't immediately run out of ammunition and food, if something happened in the imperial capital and the reinforcement troops couldn't arrive on time, they would be in danger. Uncle Fu responded repeatedly and immediately trotted outside. The city lord of Shunning City didn't dare to stay any longer. He directly put on a coat and strode out of the room. When the governor of Shunning City walked into the courtyard, he was once again frozen in place. He looked at the slowly rising smoke in the direction of the granary and felt as if all the strength in his body had been sucked out. Bastard! Bastard is not worth my time. The city lord of Shunning City stared at the direction of the granary with blood-red eyes and roared to the sky. He knew the mentality of those city lords. After all, the scale of the demon beast tide this time was too big. It was not an existence that a city could resist. However, they didn't even have any contact with the demon beasts and directly gave up their city. Strategically speaking, it was correct, but from another point of view, it was dereliction of duty. Chapter 275. They wanted to earn some military exploits. This idea was understandable. However, this matter was not urgent. In these 3 days, according to the extent that the demon monarch went easy on them, each of them would be able to gain a considerable amount of military exploits. Although they might not be promoted, it would not be a problem for them to keep their positions and lives. However, some people were in a panic. They couldn't wait any longer and wanted to do whatever they could think of. If it weren't for what happened tonight, even if the demon beasts attacked them unilaterally, they would only be able to rush up to the city wall and kill some sentries. Moreover, they would suffer a lot of losses. This could be considered as one of the Demon King's actions of going easy on them. However, because of this stupid decision, the Demon King's night attack changed from a joking attitude to a serious one. The mayor of Shunning City naturally thought that because of the Demon King's previous actions of going easy on them, many people probably didn't take him seriously. However, in fact, those who had been on the battlefield for a long time knew that winning a battle was not easy, and losing a battle was even more of a skill. For example, Black Snake's tactical thinking was interlinked, and he could challenge the tactics according to the situation on the battlefield at any time. He could really lose this battle, or he could fake his defeat and turn the situation around. From the beginning to the end, the rhythm of the whole battle was in the hands of Black Snake. Even the mayor of Thunder Gongyan City, who was a professional soldier, felt inferior to him. The mayor of Shunning City really couldn't figure out why those city lords had the courage to underestimate Black Snake. At this time, the knights who attacked the demon beast camp at night rode their horses back. Although they had many doubts in their hearts, it didn't stop them from showing excitement on their faces. However, the people waiting for them on the city wall were not their comrades, and they didn't expect the praise they had imagined. Only pairs of sarcastic, mocking, and tyrannical eyes of the demon beasts were staring at them in the dark. Under the horrified eyes of the knights, the city gate of Shunning City closed little by little, directly separating the knights who attacked at night from the safety of the city. It was like two completely different worlds. The knight surnamed Sun frowned and rushed to the city gate. He knocked on the gate with the hilt of his sword and growled. "What are you doing? The demon beasts behind are about to catch up. Hurry up and open the gate. Hey, let us in." What responded to the knight surnamed Sun was not a greeting from his fellow soldiers, nor was it the slowly opening city gate. Instead, it was a huge rock that was pushed down from the city wall by a rhinoceros demon beast. The knight surnamed Sun, who was caught off guard, did not even have the time to dodge before he was smashed into a pile of meat paste along with his horse. "This road is blocked, you little human bastards." The rhinoceros demon beast stepped on the city wall with one foot. Its eyes flashed with excitement as it laughed. The rhinoceros was also a beast king, but it was not as smart as the other beast kings. It did not plan anything. It simply felt that as a subordinate, it should obey the orders of its commander. That was why it followed the Black Snake and participated in the night attack against Shunning City. Originally, the rhinoceros was worried that the Black Serpent would continue to act like before, but now it seemed that the Black Serpent was really angry. Not only was there no mistake in his command, but on the contrary, every step of the operation was clearly planned by him. The entire night raid was also interlocked, leaving no chance for these humans to react. Demonic beast? Demon beast. How could demon beasts be in Shunning City? In an instant, a huge question mark appeared on top of all the knights' heads. But to be honest, after a group of demon beasts occupied the city gate, it was tantamount to sentencing them to death. Even if the troops in Shunning City could quickly clean up these demon beasts, the beast tied behind them would also put enough pressure on the human side. At this time, no one would be brave enough to open the city gate for these warriors who participated in the night raid. Otherwise, if the demon beasts outside rushed in, none of them would be able to escape. The knights who had been in high spirits a moment ago were now as listless as cripples who had been hit by frost. A strong sense of despair began to spread among the night raid troops. The demon beasts from other demon beasts camps also slowly arrived at the battlefield. When they saw the closed gate of Shunning City and the demon beasts standing on the city wall, they immediately became excited. Their commander had obviously begun to exert his strength. He swept away the decline during the day and took down the city wall directly in one round. Even the knights on the human side, who could fight against the demon beasts, were pushed into a desperate situation. In the face of absolute numbers, these thousands of carefully selected elite knights were of no use at all. It was like facing an overwhelming flood. A cluster of bonfire could only be extinguished in an instant. About half an hour later, the 7 city lords led their own troops to the city gate slowly. Pairs of eyes fell on Lin Yuan, but Lin Yuan could not see any hatred from these eyes, only fear and regret. When Lin Yuan saw this scene, he only felt a sense of boredom. Although these humans gathered here, in fact, they did not have much fighting spirit. They did not even want to fight against the demon beasts. Black Snake, we were wrong. The city lord of Shunning City swallowed a mouthful of saliva and took the initiative to walk out of the crowd. His deep black eyes were very dim at this moment, like the stars that were about to fall. Although this matter was not his responsibility from the beginning to the end, the problem was, after all, his fault. If he had maintained his vigilance and continued to rest in the city gate tower, this night raid troop would never have left Shunning City. In that case, Black Snake would not have directly killed his way into Shunning City and forced them into a situation where they could not back down. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and showed a sarcastic smile. He said in a cold voice, "I just wanted to say hello to you, but you gave me a big surprise. Human, I can see that your status is not low. I will give you a chance. Tell me, how do you want to solve this matter?" He kindly gave these humans a chance to live, but they did not cherish it at all. They even planned to directly slap him in the face at night. If this matter was exposed like this, even if Lin Yuan could bear it, the Beast Master Kirin's evaluation of him would be greatly reduced. He might even be included in the ranks of the demon beasts who were friendly to humans. When the Beast Master Kirin chose the true successor, he could just wait for death. Therefore, these humans must pay the price. And they must pay a very painful price. The city lord of Shunning City looked resentful and did not know how to respond. Chapter 276. What was the scariest thing about bargaining? It was not asking for a sky-high price, nor was it asking for money on the ground. It was when your opponent had the absolute advantage and directly kicked the ball to you. If you gave too much, it would make you look stupid, and the price would be more painful. If you gave too little and the other party did not agree, you could only stare at them helplessly. Hiss! Who? The city lord of Shunning City took a deep breath, and his eyes showed a touch of determination. He said in a deep voice, "Black Snake, your name is well known in the area around the Hungduan Mountains. I think you, as the Beast King of the Stoneclaw Forest, should know about the verbal contracts signed between the city lord of Zhongshan City and the Three-Eyed Ape? Today, I am willing to represent all the city lords of the 7 border cities and the Demon Slayer Association to sign a similar contract with you. What? Impossible. Are you crazy? When the city lord of Shunning City finished speaking, the other city lords suddenly shouted. Only Lei Fan and the city lord with the Thunder Lord's face did not express their opinions, and just watched everything in front of them coldly. Now, even if the Shimwu dynasty survived, it would be in a state of great loss. In a short time, it would not be able to transfer extra forces into the Hengduan Mountains to hunt. Therefore, signing this contract would not cause any substantial loss to the human race. However, if they could protect Shunning City, it would be a great achievement. The city lord of Zhongshan City had a miserable end because the demonic beasts had swept through the city, and it did not have a big impact on the Shimwu dynasty. However, the contracts signed by the city lord of Zhongshan City affected the income of the entire Shimwu dynasty. However, these were two different things. If Zhongshan City was gone, so be it. However, if Shunning City was gone, it meant that the hinterland of the human race was completely exposed to the Hengduan Mountains. The demonic beast's area of activity would no longer be limited to that small area in the demonic beast forest. Therefore, if they could not protect Shunning City at this time, they would have a miserable end. When the Shimwu dynasty recovered and had enough strength, would the so-called contract still be effective? Could it be that the Monster Beast Palace would use this as an excuse to attack the Shimwu dynasty? Not to mention the 7 empires that were at the peak of their power. Even the disciples of some sects didn't put the demonic beasts in their eyes. In their eyes, the development of this world had become abnormal. Humans didn't even treat the demonic beasts as another intelligent race. In their eyes, the demonic beasts were just spiritual herbs that could make them stronger. Without waiting for Lin Yuan's reply, the Shunning City Lord's gaze turned cold. His eyes fell directly on the clamoring city lords, and his voice became as cold as ice. Then let's change the way we deal with it. Let's catch the masterminds behind tonight's attack on the demonic beasts' camp, peel off their skin, pull out their tendons, and hang them on the top of Shunning City under the sun to vent their anger for the demonic beasts. How about that? The 7 border cities were considered to be borderlands. People with backgrounds wouldn't come to this kind of place to make a living. Therefore, even these city lords couldn't be considered as talents. There were only a few that could be brought out. For example, in his opinion, Lei Fan, who was originally here to make a name for himself, could more or less be considered as a talent. It was just that he was too close to the demonic beasts. If this continued, Lei Fan would be tied together with the Black Snake and the Demon Emperor. Although it was enough to support Lei Fan to run amok in the northern frontier, before his power accumulated to a certain extent, this kind of behavior would undoubtedly be criticized and even suppressed by some factions that hated the demonic beasts. As for the city lord Lei Gong, he was a grassroots who rose from nothing. Although he had a certain amount of ability, his character was too irritable. Many times, without the guidance of someone with foresight, it was easy for him to play himself to death. If these useless people were abandoned, they could fool the demonic beasts, and the city lord of Shunning City would immediately pick up the butcher's knife and kill them. Lin Yuan coiled his snake body and came in front of the city lord of Shunning City. A pair of different colored vertical pupils looked at the city lord of Shunning City, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He lowered his voice and said slowly, "Look at me, do I look like a fool? To be honest, I did give you a chance, didn't I? Why can't you just obediently muddle through these few days? Since you don't want to be obedient, then I don't need to give you any more face, right?" Lin Yuan's words made the city lord of Shunning City's expression stagnate, and his eyes revealed a bit of fear. Although he didn't know why, he could feel that the Black Snake was extremely angry at this moment. When he stood face to face with the Black Snake, he was worried that the Black Snake would attack him at any time and bite his head off. "I have a proposal. You can choose to accept it, or you can choose to kill all of you, and then I will carry it out myself." Lin Yuan's voice once again rang in the ears of the city lord of Shunning City. He said in a cold voice, "I can guarantee that Shunning City will continue to exist, but in my opinion, these 2 city walls are not necessary to exist. Anyway, the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains near the Shimwu dynasty will soon be ruled by me. As long as you don't provoke me, I won't bother to deal with you. The Black Snake's proposal made the city lord of Shunning City break out in a cold sweat. As the most impregnable pass in the northern frontier of the Shimwu dynasty, Shunning City directly blocked many evil beasts in the Hungduan Mountains, which showed its importance. If the two city walls were lost as a barrier, the evil beasts could break through the defense line of Shunning City at any time and go straight to the hinterland of the Shimwu dynasty. Then whether Shunning City still existed or not would be meaningless. But as the Black Snake said, it was just a proposal. No matter whether the city lord of Shunning City agreed or not, the result would not change. After these evil beasts killed all of them, they could destroy the city walls at any time. Since the night raid left Shunning City tonight, their fate seemed to have been nailed to death by the Black Snake. Should they choose to surrender to an evil beast and continue to live, or should they choose to be a martyr for the Shimwu dynasty? After thinking for a moment, the city lord of Shunning City knelt down in front of Lin Yuan on one knee and said loudly, "Subordinate Hu Yen pays respect to Demon Emperor. I'm willing to go through water and tread on fire for Demon Emperor." Hu Yan's kneeling instantly meant that there was a new faction in the Shimwu dynasty. It was a force made up of defeated people, criminals, demi-humans, and evil beasts. Although it couldn't be compared with the aristocratic families in the south, in the northern frontier, the Demon Emperor Association would become the biggest, only, and unquestionable voice. The remaining members of the Jiao clan who had been playing tricks in the dark would soon be dug out and cleaned up one by the intelligence network of the Demon Emperor Association. Seeing that the other city lords also knelt down, Lin Yuan nodded with satisfaction. This war was already over. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.